Fanatic fan favorites.
Every year, millions of people are hurt in car accidents. The numbers are overwhelming, but if you're injured in an accident, don't feel overwhelmed. Call Lundy Law. They'll remove the stress and work quickly to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Remember the name, Lundy Law. Your injury lawyers. Call 1-800-LUNDY-LAW or visit LundyLaw.com.
Fanatic fan favorites on 97.5. The Fanatic. WPEN, Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station celebrating 65 years of broadcasting. 97.5 The Fanatic. Now it's time to wake up. Kincade and Salciunas is on the air. Broadcasting live on the Fanatic app and YouTube channel. Here are your hosts, John Kincade and Andrew Salciunas. 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
Oh, John Kincade on vacation, as is Connor Thomas. I'm Andrew Salciunas. Sean Rodman producing the show today. And we have more reports to discuss on A.J. Brown. Oh, I know you hate it. You don't want to hear about it. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to use said reports to bring up a different topic that does not just involve A.J. Brown and the trades or trade rumors or what you believe is real or what you believe isn't real. All right? But I need to set it up by talking about what started yesterday toward the end of the show when Mike Garafolo was on the NFL Network. So Mike Garafolo on the NFL Network doing his latest reporting on A.J. Brown. And then it was an interesting day in the NFL because Stephon Diggs gets released by the New England Patriots. What's the team that a lot of people could sort of put two and two together about where A.J. Brown could get traded to? New England, a team that did not really have a stud wide receiver, a team that went to the Super Bowl, a team that has a young quarterback, a team that, by the way, got rid of their best receiver in terms of production in Stephon Diggs. So that makes sense, and so that is something of note. There was also the big trade of the Kansas City Chiefs. They trade away Trent McDuffie. They get a big haul for that. He's a very talented cornerback in the NFL. So there was a lot of stuff that started yesterday. I was listening to Unfiltered on my way to the event. I had the event at McCloskey's yesterday, thanks to my friends at Corona. And, you know, he was talking about, hey, it could happen. If it does happen, it might not. But if it does happen, it could happen at any minute because we're starting to see the moves happen. Teams sort of make some moves pre-new league year. The legal tampering begins on March 9th, and then March 11th is when the new league year actually starts. So some teams may be getting ahead, trading for players so that they can then see what their cap space is like after some of these trades, and then they wonder if they can sign players. And then you do all this before the draft, which helps out your big board. So there's a lot of movement already happening in the NFL. So before I get to the question and before I get to this topic that the A.J. Brown discussion will lead to, because I know it. Look, you guys are exhausted by it. Same. I hear you. But there's the latest report, so we got to react. And it happened toward the end of the show yesterday. Here was Mike Garafolo yesterday on the NFL Network about what the Eagles are reportedly asking for when it comes to a trade of A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown with the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about him potentially being moved. I've had some conversations with sources informed of what's happening there. My understanding is teams are making offers to the Eagles for a trade, and to this point, they have not gotten to the point at which the Eagles would make the move. In their mind, it's a Quinnen Williams type deal. We're talking a potential first-round pick with a second-round sweetener on it. That's kind of where it is for the Eagles to start to consider moving A.J. Brown. If they don't get close to that point or to that point, I don't think Howie Roseman moves him. I think he keeps A.J. Brown in the fold. He's a really good player. He is highly valued inside that building. Now, right now, all the money that's committed to AJ, if he remains with the team, is affecting their ability to sign other free. Like, they'd like to have Dallas Goedert back right now, but they don't know necessarily whether or not they're going to be able to pay AJ Brown or have to pay AJ Brown. So that's sort of affecting business. But in the meantime, the Eagles not feeling like, well, we have to trade AJ. It's our team's going to come up and make that offer to meet that price.
By the way, that's an interesting nugget that Garafolo adds, and I know Johnny the K's been saying it quite frequently, Johnny on vacation this week, that, look, if A.J. Brown does get traded, now you have a better understanding of the money that you have for some of the other players that are already under contract, maybe they're rookie deals that are about to get an extension, or if they want to bring back Dallas Goedert. We talked about that $20 million dead cap hit if he does sign anywhere, according to Jeff McClain. So that's an important thing to consider, but that's not what we're talking about today. What we're going to talk about is what is the deal where you would finally say, all right, fine. I can't say no to it. I will trade A.J. Brown. Because regardless of how you felt about the talking point, day in and day out, week in and week out, I've been very consistent. I don't want A.J. Brown traded. I don't want to trade away a 1,000-yard receiver on a given year, right? He had a down year and had 1,000 yards still. He's had 1,000 yards, at least 1,000 yards in each of his 4 seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's a big part of why you got to the Super Bowl in 2022. He's a big part of why you got back to the Super Bowl and won it. I understand that it was the Saquon Barkley show I heard Unfiltered talking about the other day. Like, do you think they would have won even if they didn't have A.J. Brown? And Bill said very confidently yes. I don't know if I can disagree with him because it was the Saquon show. But then again, A.J. Brown, A.J. might not want to hear this, but A.J. played a vital role in that team with how he was able to block on the outside as a wide receiver. I don't want A.J. Brown traded. He's too talented. I love having A.J. and Devontae as a duo. We talk about how they're the best duo, one of the best duos in the NFL. I don't want to move on from that. However, if you're telling me that the Eagles are asking for, we're not saying that they're going to get it, but they're asking for the Quinnen Williams type package. Quinnen Williams, spectacular defensive tackle, now with the Dallas Cowboys. He was with the New York Jets. The Dallas Cowboys traded a second-round pick for this upcoming draft and a 2027 first-round pick. They also included Mozzie Smith, who was their bust, first-round pick defensive tackle. So, maybe a player gets kicked in. But let's just focus on the draft picks. 2026 second-round pick, 2027 first-round pick. If a team called the Philadelphia Eagles and offered that type of package, I can't say no to that. That is something where if I find out the Eagles acquired a 2026 first-round pick or a 2026 second-round pick, 2027 first-round pick, or maybe it gets kicked down a road a year, right? 27's the first one, 28's the next one. I don't know how these teams are going to operate. But if something like that comes out, I can't be angry. Like, I would be bummed out. I've said numerous times, I would be angry if it was a 1 and a 4. And that's still a pretty good return. But that's where I'm still saying, no, I'm hanging up the phone. There have been talks about how teams aren't willing to trade a first-round pick. If anybody starts with a second-round pick, I've made the joke a couple times. I want Howie Roseman, if he takes the call on his cell phone, to say, hold on a second, call this number. They call a number, it's a landline, and he clicks it so that they hear the actual click of the phone. I'm not starting anything with a second-round pick with A.J. Brown. He's too talented. I want to see how this works out in Sean Mannion's offense before I see what my second-round pick could be. But if you're telling me a 1 and a 2, I can't say no to that for a guy that's going to turn 29 years old, a guy that is clearly unhappy here. Maybe not unhappy on March 5th, but has been unhappy numerous times in the past. And we all had that at times in our jobs. And sometimes we stay at our jobs, and then sometimes people leave their jobs because they're so upset with it. They're so upset with the situation that they leave. Everybody's had that crisis of what they want to do. And A.J. Brown, it's pretty clear through everybody in the world that covers football that at times he's been upset. And at times he actually did request a trade. If a team offers a 1 and a 2, I can't say no. So what we're asking you to start at 610-632-0975 is whether or not you have that package, that trade package where you go, all right, I can't say no to that. Because I know how tight we are holding on to A.J. Brown, me included. We don't want that guy to be traded for nothing. Or we don't want him traded for what we don't believe is his value. If there is a draft pick that you can't say no to, I'm curious what that is. Now, somebody might say 5 first-round picks. It's not going to happen, but that means you're telling me there is no price. You're telling me there is no way you are trading A.J. Brown, because we're also going to base this off of reality. You're not getting 5 first-round picks. You're not getting 2 1s. Hell, I don't think you're going to get a 1 and a 2. But if that's what the Eagles are asking for, maybe there is a team so desperate, as we mentioned, the New England Patriots, who just got rid of Stephon Diggs yesterday. They didn't want to pay him the $6 million. And, oh, by the way, don't forget that stuff with the law that kind of disappeared. Or the court case that was supposed to happen on like the AFC Championship game, and then that magically disappeared. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see if that pops up again. But anyways, the Patriots they outright released Stephon Diggs, and we've already been talking about New England for a while. New England being the team that could be interested in A.J. Brown. And maybe they are desperate enough because they say, oh, my God, Super Bowl window. Kind of like how the Eagles signed Saquon Barkley. Now, they signed different. They didn't make a trade for. But they signed Saquon Barkley because they said, wow, we have this window. Why not make ourselves better? Maybe the Patriots see it that way. So what is the price where you're going to say, all right, fine, I will do this? 610-632-0975. Again, Kansas City Chiefs, they traded away Trent McDuffie yesterday to the Los Angeles Rams. Rams defense, we know, fell apart in the second half of the season. The Rams traded away the 29th overall pick to Kansas City. They also received a 2026 fifth-round pick, 26 sixth-round pick, 27 third-round pick. So 4 picks in return for Trent McDuffie. I immediately saw Zach Berman put out a tweet saying, hey, this is what a team just got for a very talented player. Now McDuffie's 4 years younger than A.J. Brown, so that also plays a bit of a factor. Now, I promise this isn't what we're going to do all day. I do want to hear what that trade package is that you can't say no to, or if it's a completely off the table. But let's talk a little bit about the draft. So I've been saying this a couple of times. Starting last week when Johnny was still here, John Kincade on vacation this week, and it will continue today. And I'm excited to talk to our man Andrew the Checo. It's a Thursday, so Andrew's going to be in studio with us for 2 hours this morning from 8 to 10. Has it hit you yet, the importance of the draft, this draft? And when I say importance, I mean like state of franchise importance. The Philadelphia Eagles, you start looking around, have a lot of questions. Questions of players that are exiting, potentially, right? Dallas Goedert's a free agent. Nakobe Dean's a free agent. Reed Blankenship's a free agent. Let's say all 3 players leave. Well, Nakobe Dean, you already have his replacement in Jahad Campbell. Reed Blankenship, who's playing safety? First off, I don't know who Drew Makuba is. Second of all, you need somebody to play next to him. So safety is a position where you're going, all right, is that a free agent? Is that a trade? Or is that a draft pick? Tight end. If Dallas Goedert were to leave, look around the tight end room and look at what tight end has meant for the Philadelphia Eagles for a very long time. You're going to need a draft one this year. There's no more, kicking the tires on Kylan Granson. All right, like they need to draft a tight end and they need to draft one high in the draft. We've been talking about the offensive line numerous times. Both tackle and guard, quite frankly. Lane Johnson might be done after this year. We already had the is he going to be back conversation just last month. Landon Dickerson strongly considered retirement at a young age because it's all about health, and I understand it. We don't know. What if Landon Dickerson has another year where he's banged up? You got to start thinking about the next offensive guard as well. And the Eagles are always pretty good at that. Last year, I think they escaped it a little too much where they were just drafting guys late and hoping that Stoutland U was going to, find more guys that get C's and bump their grades up to A's. Well, Stoutland U's not here anymore, and it didn't necessarily work out last year. The Eagles need to focus on the future right tackle, the future tight end one. I've been telling you about cornerback for a while now that is completely going under the radar in terms of a talking point. They might need a safety. They always need to bolster the edge rusher room, especially if Jalen Phillips walks and you don't make the trade for Max Crosby. That's 5 positions right there. And I have not even mentioned wide receiver. Because quite frankly, whether A.J. Brown's here or not, you probably have to draft another wide receiver because he is getting older. And if we were talking about trades this year because he was unhappy, what if another season of an unhappy A.J. Brown leads to a trade-in season, leads to a trade after the season. Or if you don't even want to talk about the trade, you don't have a wide receiver 3. We'll see who Darius Cooper translates to down the road. But I don't think they're going to be eager to bring back Jahan Dotson. Britton Covey's Britton Covey. So I just gave you 6 positions where they need to really start thinking about the future, either immediate because you might need starters at those positions, or you need to start thinking about once Lane Johnson retires. So that's 6 positions. Here are the Eagles' draft picks this year. 23rd overall, 54th overall, that in the second round, 68th overall in the third round, 98th overall in the third round, the compensatory pick, 122, 137, 151, 179, 201. All right, they have a lot of draft picks in this upcoming draft. And it is imperative to me that they hit on the majority of them. Now, I get it. Somebody's probably going to say, oh, the draft is always important. Yeah, it is. It's always important, the draft, especially when you're a good football team, to continue to bring in a pool of young talent. But, man, the Eagles won the Super Bowl with one of, it's been talked about, nobody's saying they're the 85 Bears, but one of the better defensive teams and one of the better defensive performances in Super Bowl history. All those guys were young. All those guys. Other than what? Josh Sweat? Think about it. That defensive line, Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham. But then after that, it was Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, who was still on his rookie deal. That's your front. Those guys were all very young. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. They were rookies. Reed Blankenship, undrafted free agent. They were very young and very inexpensive. Those players that we want to continue to be here with the Philadelphia Eagles will soon be very expensive. And so you're going to need to hit on those types of players. I'm not saying like rookie of the year and potential all-pros early on, but you need to start drafting players that you go, yeah, this is why we're going to continue to be Super Bowl contenders year in and year out. Sure, some of these positions you might be able to trade for. Some of these positions you might be able to sign contracts to. They were free agents. It wasn't that long ago that the Eagles traded for Jason Peters. It wasn't that long ago that the Eagles acquired John Runyon, right? And signed them to lucrative deals. Hell, A.J. Brown was a player that they traded for on draft day and then signed to a big contract. So there are ways. It doesn't just have to be the draft. But we know that this Eagles team, the most recent Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles squad from 2 seasons ago, won via the draft. They won via believing their offensive line, signing Saquon Barkley, and the draft. And the draft was that defensive side of the ball. So has it hit you yet how important this draft is? I don't think I'm going over the top saying this is state of the franchise importance. Maybe you might think I am. What else is new? It's Sports Talk Radio. But I think this is a state of the franchise important draft for the Philadelphia Eagles. And so, when we also ask you, what's the price for A.J. Brown where you can't say no? Well, if I'm getting a first-round draft pick in this draft, where they need an offensive tackle, where they need a tight end, where they will need another wide receiver, man, it's going to be hard to say no to. 610-632-0975. That's the number you could text in or call in. Sixers won last night. Yay. They beat the Utah Jazz 106-102. I put out the tweet last night. Look, you need to start piling up wins, right? If we're talking about not knowing the health status of Joel Embiid, obviously Paul George is still serving his suspension. He'll be back later this month. The Sixers need to start piling up wins. They get a win last night. They're a game and a half back of the Toronto Raptors because the Raptors have been on a bit of a skid. If you could climb up to that 5 seed and have that buffer, Orlando's just a game back of you. The Magic are the 7th seed. That's the first team where you're in the play-in. I don't want the Sixers in the play-in. They need to start piling up wins. But, man, was it dicey yesterday. I did not need a game against the 18-44, now 44, Utah Jazz to be dicey. I know Keontae George went off for the Jazz yesterday. 30 points for him. He went on a stretch where he just could not miss threes. But once again, you're turning to some of the guys where you're saying, all right, Tyrese Maxey, you're supposed to be max contract Maxey. And he played a decent game. He couldn't hit threes, maybe because his legs are cooked. Second game of a back-to-back. He's playing as many minutes as he is. I'm just happy that they pulled out the win. And you know what, man? Shout out to Jabari Walker. Jabari Walker, in 28 minutes, he was the only guy that showed any heart 2 nights ago in the 40-point loss to the San Antonio Spurs. He was the only guy that walked onto that court and said, I am going to put an effort together tonight. Nobody else did. He did that 2 nights ago. And last night, he's a big reason why you came back and won that basketball game. Off the bench, 28 minutes, 22 points, 4 of 7 from 3, 7 of 12 from the field. He had 4 free throws. He had 10 rebounds. The dude was all over the place yesterday. And that's another, nice sneaky pickup by Daryl Morey. It's such a weird time with Daryl Morey where a lot of people, I think, just think he stinks. And then you start going, oh, well, that was a nice move. That was a nice move. That was a nice move. It's not about this year. It's about years moving forward. You just hope that they get healthy and maybe they have a run this year. That's where we're at. But to have a run, they need to get out of that play-in. And right now they're not as a 6 seed, and right now they're a game and a half back of the 5 seed. They need to start piling up wins. I don't want to say good win, but necessary win for the Sixers last night over the Jazz. All right, coming up next, speaking of the Sixers, there was a wild report that popped up yesterday. I don't really give a damn about it because it didn't happen. And I also wonder how much of this was, man, we're getting grilled. Let's put something out there. I'll tell you what it is next. It is Kincade Salciunas, Johnny on vacation, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The depleted Sixers win it late. I'm Sean Rodman, and the Sixers were without 4 of its 5 starters last night against the Utah Jazz. Maxey, the only regular starter on the court, led the way with 25 for the Sixers. Jabari Walker off the bench had 22. Sixers are back in action Saturday night in Atlanta. Yesterday, it was reported that the Eagles' asking price for A.J. Brown is a first-round pick and more. ESPN's Adam Schefter joined us yesterday morning and told us how A.J. Brown trade talks are going currently.
They're certainly not making it easy, and they certainly don't seem like they're willing to move him. And if I had to bet $1 today, I'd say he's more likely to be there than not. Teams keep calling. Teams are being told the price is high.
Johan Duran made his spring debut yesterday against Canada. He pitched a scoreless inning with 1 strikeout for the Phillies. The Flyers are back in action tonight at home against the Utah Mammoth. And you can listen to the game right here on the Fanatic. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:30 as well. It is the team's final game before the trade deadline in the NHL tomorrow at 3 o'clock. On Patterson's, Anthony Sanfilippo joins us at 8:30, and Andrew Checo joins us at 8 o'clock for the final 2 hours. This update is brought to you by Papa John's. Introducing new pan pizza from Papa John's. Order a medium 1-top pan pizza, just $11.99 when you download the Papa John's app or at papajohns.com. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
Up thanks to our friends at Iron Mountain Men's Health. Check out Dr. Avidan Appel. 4 hours strong in the afternoons with Unfiltered, 4 hours strong in the mornings here with Kincade Salciunas. What do we got this morning?
All right, our Twitter poll. We know the majority of you don't want A.J. Brown traded. Neither does you, Andrew.
Thank you.
What would the price be? Our options: a 2026 first and a 2027 second. Not trading A.J. Brown, a 2026 first and a fourth-round pick, and then a 2026 second and a 2026 third. Leading the way, actually, it's going to be two of them. Tied at 47% is the first and second, and then not trading A.J. Brown.
Wow.
No votes for the first and fourth, and a couple of votes at 6% for the second and third.
You did not update your Twitter poll. That's all right, Sean. I'll take care of it.
That's what it says for mine. I just refreshed it, too.
I have 40% first and second, 36% not trading A.J. Brown, 12% first and a fourth in this draft, 11% second and a third in this draft. Now, the reason why those specific packages have been mentioned is because that is what has been talked about by people that cover the league. The most recent one, the Mike Garafolo report yesterday, that the Eagles are looking for a Quinnen Williams-type package, which is that specifically was second-round pick this year, first-round pick next year. If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I would imagine they're asking for a first-round pick for this year's draft. So we're just kind of speculating there a little bit. So the majority of people are with me, where you don't want A.J. Brown traded, or maybe some people voted that they do want A.J. Brown traded, but you don't want A.J. Brown traded, but you can't say no to that package. And look, I desperately want him back. I saw somebody on our YouTube chat. Sure you do, Andrew. I do. I don't know how clear I can have been over the last couple of months. But if a team offers a first and a second, how can you say no? How can you say no to a player that's going to be turning 29 this year that doesn't really want to be here? And by the way, had a down season, statistically still had 1,000 yards, but we saw one of the worst separation rates in the NFL. Like that is something to keep an eye on. And I don't think that's necessarily just Kevin Patullo. So the majority of people can't say no to that package. The reason why I think there's votes for the first and fourth and the second and third is because they're both this year. They're both this year's draft, and people don't want to wait until next year's draft to get one of the picks for A.J. Brown. Don't forget, the Eagles are benefiting from the Hassan Reddick trade this year. Did we really miss that pick the year they went to the Super Bowl and won? We didn't. It's nice to have all of a sudden that pick this year in the third round via the New York Jets. So that's the Twitter poll. Thanks to Dr. Avidan Appel. We'll update it for you over the course of the show. 35% of people saying not trading A.J. Brown, period. There is no package of the three mentioned, and first and second is lucrative, right? Nobody's going to be offering 2 1s. I was at McCloskey's yesterday. The guy was asking me, do you think A.J. can get 2 1s? I was like, no. A.J. Brown's not getting 2 first-round picks. But first and a second being a second year and the next season, possibly. What do we got on the text line? Because that discussion also led to the state of the franchise level importance draft. I believe this draft is imperative for the here and now and also the next couple of years. And you could say that about any draft, I get it. But I'm saying it like putting my fists on the table. They need to hit this year, or I'm going to be worried about the state of the Eagles the next couple of seasons, because we have key positions that need to be drafted and a legendary player to be replaced and a vital player to be replaced in Dallas Goedert and potentially a vital player to be replaced in A.J. Brown. Do you believe this draft is a state of the franchise draft? What do we got on the text line this morning, Sean?
Yeah, first person checking in saying that this draft definitely feels very important, but I am not nervous in the slightest. I believe in Howie is good at roster construction through the draft, that he takes all my worries away.
Yeah, sure. But we also have to understand that there is a reality that a pick might not work out. Like, Keely Ringo was a third-round pick, right? Or a fourth-round pick. Drew Makuba, I don't know. We'll see how he plays out. One of the worries of him in college was small body could get hurt. What happened this year? Small body got hurt. That's a second-round pick. We have been blessed with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. We hope to see Jahad Campbell take that next step forward because he flashed some good things last year. Devontae Smith was a first-round pick that they traded up for. So to the Texans' point, yeah, Howie Roseman has done some pretty damn good things via the draft recently. There's also a chance that a player just doesn't work out. But I lean more toward they're going to figure it out when it comes to the draft picks. All right, what else we got?
All right, next up, John C. in Tennessee checks in. Howie's in the position where the worst-case scenario is having A.J. Brown with a bad attitude. Winning games would fix that. Eagles have a luxury of setting whatever price they want. I'm not taking much less than what Trent McDuffie got traded for.
What was that? Was John?
That was John, yes.
John, can you read the first half of that text?
Howie is in a position where the worst-case scenario is having A.J. Brown with a bad attitude. Winning games would fix that.
I'm glad you knew when to stop. Winning games would fix that. What, did the Eagles win 6 games last year? The Eagles won the division last year. The Eagles won the Super Bowl, and he was not happy with how he was used in the Super Bowl. So winning sometimes isn't the best medicine. Winning could sometimes be a stick of deodorant, but if the BO is that strong, the deodorant might just mask it for a little bit. It's not about winning necessarily for A.J. Brown. It's winning and the and is being a big part of the offense and getting the production that he wants. And I understand it, right? I remember we spoke with Kurt Warner not that long ago. It was during the season, and Kurt Warner was like, I totally understand where AJ's coming from because you want to play a role in winning. You know, he was obviously the quarterback of the greatest show on turf, and we talked to him about that. Like, hey, how did you make sure everybody felt involved? And he said, we made it work. So, sure, A.J. Brown is a competitor who wants to win, but also wants to win where he is a big part of it. That's kind of what got this whole thing started. So, I love the outlook from our man John on the text line, but we've clearly seen that winning isn't the best medicine with A.J. Brown. It's winning and he's a big part of it. All right. You mentioned the Sixers win over the Jazz yesterday. There was a random report that popped up yesterday from Kevin O'Connor, who covers the NBA, does it for Yahoo Sports, and he has his podcast, the Kevin O'Connor Show. Daryl Morey was reportedly looking to add Kawhi Leonard to the Sixers at the deadline. Here's the quote from his article. Executives has said that the Sixers were actively making calls pre-deadline, though nothing seemed remotely close. Some sources suggest that Morey was star hunting with Kawhi Leonard being a name that was connected to Philly, but nothing happened. So Embiid, Maxey, and the team saw McCain get dealt, the tax get ducked, and no pieces brought in to help. There might be why there was a mood shift for the Sixers, and of course, Jared McCain continues to play well. Only 5 points last night, so the Sixers won. Sixers won the trade because he only scored 5 points for the Thunder last night against the Knicks. I don't care about reports like this. I'll react to them, but I don't care about them because it didn't happen. And Daryl Morey maybe was trying to be serious, but it wasn't long ago where Ramona Shelbourne joined this show. It was last season before the NBA trade deadline because she wrote an article that Daryl Morey called the Lakers about LeBron James. Call anybody. Like, they called about LeBron James, and the Lakers hung up the phone. So, sure, the Sixers called the Clippers about Kawhi Leonard. Do I think that this is a bit of a, let's throw some water on the fire here just to cool it down because everybody's upset about Jared McCain? Yes, I do. I don't truly believe that the Sixers were truly getting after Kawhi Leonard. So what were they going to do? Paul George would have been in the trade. Paul George goes back to where he wants to be in L.A. And then the Sixers throw in a couple of kickers and maybe they return their draft pick, right? The 2028 draft pick that is via the Los Angeles Clippers. But when I saw that report yesterday, I saw a lot of people like, oh, man, could this set something up for the offseason? I love Kawhi Leonard when healthy. Wow. When have you heard that before? Dude's a stud. Ended the Sixers season a couple of years ago. I'm still heartbroken by it. But when I see a report like that, to me, my antennas don't go up to what could the Sixers be trying to cook and what did they try to cook. My antennas go up to, all right, they've been getting ripped locally and nationally for the Jared McCain trade, not doing anything else when the Sixers were playing at a high level. part of me wonders if this was just a, let's throw this one out there. And so I'm not going to get overly excited about it, which is a bummer because here we are again with the same old with the Philadelphia 76ers. And at the time, don't forget, at the end of before the trade deadline, the Sixers were playing well. Joel Embiid was playing healthy. Joel Embiid was catching alley-oop dunks. That was a totally different Sixers team just a month ago. And I get it. Some of you might be saying, well, that's why you don't make a trade, because you never know what happens with Joel Embiid. I don't think this was actually really going to happen by any means. And if Daryl Morey really did think trading Jared McCain and getting a late first-round pick was going to be whatever it takes to get Kawhi Leonard, then he completely misread the market. Completely misread it. All right, you can text in 610-632-0975. Eagles discussion. What is the draft package where you finally say, all right, damn it. All right, we'll make this trade. I don't want to trade AJ, but I can't say no to this. Or is there no package? Unless you're coming up with some weird 5 first-round picks, which isn't going to happen. That, and do you believe this upcoming draft for the Eagles is a state-of-the-franchise important draft? I do. They can't mess this one up. 610-632-0975. We'll get more reaction on that. Also, coming up next, I'm going to introduce another topic because it seems like one Eagle is as good as gone, and he may be packing his bags for Dallas. It's Kincade Salciunas, Johnny out today, 97.5 The Fanatic. All right, let me tell you that FanDuel Sportsbook app. Oh, college hoops. There were some good games last night. When I was at McCloskey's, they had the Sixers game on there. They had the Knicks Thunder game there. Then they had a Creighton game. I was locked into some college basketball yesterday, too. College basketball nonstop, big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. And now FanDuel, in partnership with Valley Forge, is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Here's how it works. Build any college hoops parlay you like. Early tip, rivalry game, underdog, team that's a 15-point favorite, whatever you want to do, put those into a parlay. The beauty is, if there is a team that's a monster favorite, you're getting the profit boost, so that's going to help you out in the long run. You can go safe or you can go spicy. Go with the team you've been following all season long. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Just head to FanDuel.com/local to get started. That's FanDuel.com/local. FanDuel, play your game. You got to be 21 plus, present in Pennsylvania. Opt-in required. Minimum 2-leg parlay required. Bonus issued as knowledgeable boost builder tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amounts. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
From the city that demands the truth, it's Middays with Marks and Friends with John Marks and Ray Dunn.
Every week. This is Len Lundy of Lundy Law. When we say we hope you're never injured in a slip and fall accident, we mean it. But if you suffer an injury, we will work quickly and tirelessly to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. And when we also say it won't cost you a dime up front, we mean it. Remember our name, Lundy Law. Your injury lawyers. Call 1-800-LUNDY-LAW or visit LundyLaw.com.
Before you drive, check in with your crew. Buzzed or high, you're not okay to drive. Pass your keys to a sober driver, call a ride, or crash on a couch. You have options. Driving impaired isn't one of them. A message from the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety.
IBEW Local 269, the Electrical Training Alliance, and NECA are now accepting applications for their apprenticeship program. Enrollment is open through March 31st. Start your career in the electrical trades and earn while you learn. Apply today at IBEW269.com.
97.5 The Fanatic's Knockout Tournament is back. Wednesday, March 25th. Listen each weekday with Kincade and Salciunas. Middays with Marks and Unfiltered.
All contestants get a pair of tickets for the game as the Sixers take on the Bulls. After the game, you'll head to the Sixers court to battle your favorite Fanatic hosts in Knockout.
Click events at 975thefanatic.com for details.
All right, the sports talk doesn't stop with these guys. Make sure you tune in Middays with Marks. You guessed it with me, John Marks. That's coming up. Johnny Marks, it is just Andrew Salciunas, Johnny the K on vacation for this week, as is now Connor Thomas. Sean Robin producing the show today. Interesting name just popped up on the market. Ian Rappaport just put out a tweet about 20 minutes ago that the Falcons are planning to release wide receiver Darnell Mooney. Mooney was set to count for $18.4 million against the salary cap. Now, Mooney is a smaller receiver, but a guy that's got speed. He has a lot of speed, and that's an interesting name that's out there. Maybe not for the Philadelphia Eagles, but it's an interesting name out there. He's a guy that's had success with just bad quarterbacks, right? He played with the Chicago Bears pre-Caleb Williams, put together a 1,000-yard season in 2021. Then it went down a little bit. Then he goes to Atlanta, has a close to 1,000-yard receiver in 2024, where he's playing with both Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix. Last year, a bit of a down year for him. So that's a pretty interesting name that hits the market. I don't know what his value is. All right, I'm not some capologist here, especially when it comes to the Darnell Mooney cap. But Darnell Mooney, interesting name. Eagles do need a slot receiver, a guy that can be that third receiver for a team with or without A.J. Brown. The Eagles need it. I just don't know how much that's going to cost. But that's an interesting name that popped up early on this Thursday morning. All right. Yesterday, we had Adam Schefter on. It was an Adam Schefter Wednesday. And I was doing the is the market there, yes or no interview. And we talked about the players that are hitting free agency from the Philadelphia Eagles. We obviously eventually got to the obligatory A.J. Brown question and the obligatory Max Crosby question. Are the Eagles in on Max Crosby? We also brought up Trey Hendrickson because the Bengals announced that they were not going to franchise tag him. So he's hitting the open market. We talked about Jalen Phillips, you name it. But there was a player that I brought up, and I asked him about Nakobe Dean. Now, so you guys know and gals know, I did not mention the Dallas Cowboys. I said, hey, Shefty, is Nakobe Dean as good as gone, which is what a lot of people are saying, and is there a team of note? And this was his response.
You do keep hearing about the Dallas Cowboys and Nakobe Dean. And I think that there's agreement across the league with some teams that I've spoken. I mean, you got a really good player. He has just struggled to stay on the field. But when he's been on the field, he's been dynamic. So my guess is somebody's going to pay for that. Somebody's going to roll the dice and say, okay, let's move forward on Nakobe Dean. I think there'll be a good market for him. I think he'll do well. He's a young, really good player. Just has struggled to stay healthy. And I think there'll be a team out there that says, okay, let's bet that Nakobe Dean stays healthy for us.
All right, so he first brings up the Dallas Cowboys. This is a fandom question. Does that bother you? So yesterday, when we had Schefter on, I know 90% of you were complaining, but there were some people saying, man, if Nakobe Dean goes to Dallas, that's going to suck. And I know that Nakobe Dean is a beloved player by Eagles fans, also by that team. Like, the Eagles love Nakobe Dean. It's just unfortunate that he's not been able to stay healthy, which is why they kind of, I don't know if they felt the need to, But when Jahad Campbell was on the board, who was graded higher, but because of his own injury issues, the Eagles were able to scoop up Jahad Campbell, and he played relatively well during Nakobe Dean's absence. Nakobe Dean comes back. Nakobe Dean you had to play. He was very, very good last year until he once again, unfortunately, got hurt again. But Nakobe Dean is a talented player with an injury history. The Georgia Bulldogs love him. If you weren't listening the day we played it, Jordan Davis, after the Eagles were eliminated by the 49ers, started crying. That big man started crying, talking about Nakobe Dean, because I think everyone is under the impression that he's going to be gone. If he signs with the Dallas Cowboys, what is your reaction? When Jason Worth signed with the Washington Nationals for a 7-year, $126 million contract, something like that, I remember the anger, how angry so many of you were that Jason Worth, A, did not re-sign with the Phillies. Oh, he should have taken a team-friendly deal. But B, he signed with a team within the division, the Washington Nationals. So yesterday, I was thinking about this. This happened after the 2010 season. He signed on December 5th of 2010 with the Washington Nationals. So I had not even celebrated my birthday yet. All right? So in 2010, I was 16 years old. And I was more mature than a lot of people. I was mature enough to realize, hey, he got his bag. Like, congratulations. You were great here. You helped the Phillies win a World Series. You were part of the team that got back to another World Series. You were a part of the team that got to the series against the New York Giants, or the San Francisco Giants, the NLCS. And I remember when he was on with Middays with Marks, when Johnny Marks, it was like the first week Johnny came back to the Fanatic, Jason Worth said he thought that was the best team. He wasn't on the 2011 team, but out of those 4 teams that he was with the Phillies, he believed that the 2010 team was the best team, and he was shocked that they did not get to and win the World Series. But, man, when he signed with the Washington Nationals, I remember the anger. I remember, because my dad and I had the 17-game plan, going to the first game when Jason Worth returned with the Washington Nationals, and the boos that rained down upon him. This wasn't a J.D. Drews situation where it was screw you, or Scott Rowland situation where it was screw you. Yeah, there was some bad blood because they didn't reach the contract that he wanted, and then he did not like how the fans reacted. And now everybody's friends with Jason Worth again, which is awesome. But when Jason Worth signed with the Nationals, a lot of you were pissed because not only did he leave a good Phillies team, he left for one of your division rivals. Nobody thinks of the Nationals the way they think of the Mets or Braves. We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys here. If Nakobe Dean signs with the Dallas Cowboys, what is your reaction? And forget Nakobe Dean if you don't want to just talk about him specifically. How do you feel when players leave this city and go to rival teams? It doesn't bother me if they're getting paid more than what they were going to get. But I'm also not going to sugarcoat it. Nick Sirianni does the press conferences. You know, I'm really rooting for Christian Parker except for 2 games. You know, if Nakobe Dean goes to Dallas, he's going to say, I'm really rooting for Nakobe Dean, man. Great person, except for 2 games. No, you know what? I'm not rooting for them for any games. I want them to fail. I don't know Christian Parker personally, so I want him to fail. I want him to be a horrible defensive coordinator because that means the Dallas Cowboys don't have a good defense. I want Nakobe Dean to be a bad player if he signs with the Dallas Cowboys because I don't want him to help the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to root for him except for 2 games. Why? What if it comes down to those 2 games? Or what if the Cowboys win 6 straight games and Nakobe Dean has an interception in all of them and a sack in all of them? Are you still rooting for him? I'm not. But I don't get upset if they leave for these teams. Because if Nakobe Dean's not going to get paid by the Eagles, congratulations to your payday. Jason Worth wasn't going to get paid by the Phillies. Congratulations on your payday. How do you react to that stuff? Because I was not the same angry Phillies fan that a lot of people were those days. Nakobe Dean to the Cowboys. What would that reaction be? You can answer that question as well, 610-632-0975. That's going to be sort of our buffer topic about A.J. Brown trade talk. I hope that makes you happy. All right, coming up next, we're going to tell you how you can compete for a spot in Knockout. We have the pair of tickets to the game March 25th against the Bulls and the spot in Knockout. It will involve some Phillies trivia. And how about the performance we saw by the man on the mound yesterday? Or does it really matter? We'll find out. But we'll talk about it. It's Kincade and Salciunas, Johnny out, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Sixers bounce back. I'm Sean Rodman, and after a blowout loss the other night, the depleted Sixers beat the Utah Jazz last night. Maxey led the way with 25, and Jabari Walker off the bench with 22. Sixers were without Embiid, Oubre, and Edgecombe last night. Sixers are back in action Saturday night in Atlanta. Yesterday, it was reported that the Eagles are asking for a first-round pick and more for A.J. Brown. Bleacher Report's James Palmer joined Middays with Marks yesterday on what he believes teams are willing to send the Eagles in a trade.
I think those teams are all trying not to give up a first-round pick for AJ. I mean, you could look at a comp of when Stephon Diggs went to Houston, in all honesty. I think that was like a second. And there were some other things that were exchanged.
The NFL legal tampering period for free agency opens up on Monday at noon. Johan Duran made his spring debut yesterday against Canada. He pitched a scoreless inning with one strikeout for the Phillies. The Flyers are back in action tonight at home against Utah Mammoth. You can listen to the game right here. Fanatic pregame coverage begins at 6:30. On Patterson's Anthony Sanfilippo joins us at 8:30, and Andrew DeCecco joins us at 8 o'clock for the final 2 hours. This update is brought to you by Orderly Meds Affordable GLP-1s. OrderlyMeds.com gives you access to semaglutide and trizepatide, often up to 50% less. Visit orderlymeds.com/radio. Individual results may vary. Eligibility required. See site for details. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
Dogs definitely will, and it makes them so happy, no matter what it looks like, smells like, or what state of decomposition it's in. We all want to go through life that carefree, and that's also why you should get Progressive Pet Insurance, because they eat things off the floor. So protect your pet from all the questionable life decisions they make. You know where they drink from when you're gone, right? Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia. A Beasley Media Group station celebrating 65 years of broadcasting. 97.5 The Fanatic. This is Kincade and Salciunas. 97.5 The Fanatic.
7 a.m. here on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. A.J. Brown, importance of this upcoming draft for the Eagles. and your reaction when players sign with rival teams. Now, Sean, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this because during said conversation in this last segment, I checked the YouTube chat, and you know, I always love you guys being a part of the show, and I always love when I'm called a moron by Ra Rooney on our YouTube chat. This guy talking as a moron. He said that after his 2 previous comments, which is, who cares is my reaction. Why be so obsessed with the Dallas Cowboys? That's so bizarre. Well, who cares is your reaction. My reaction is also, congratulations on getting paid. But I'm not going to be like, I liked him with the Eagles, so I'm going to root for him with the Cowboys. So, Ra Rooney, you might think that I'm a moron. What I will say is you are totally disconnected with this fan base. I brought up literally an example when Jason Worth signed with the Nationals. All right, not the Mets, not the Braves, and people hated him for it. We're talking about the Nationals. If Nakobe Dean goes to the Dallas Cowboys, I imagine there will be people that are going to be angry. Sean, what is your reaction to when a player signs with a rival team? Do you congratulate them because of the payday? Do you still root for them in the, deep down? Or are you like, all right, they're gone, they're on the enemy team. Whatever happens to you, all right, I'm not rooting for you.
Yeah, I think we'll get ready to call me a moron too, I guess, because for Nakobe Dean, there's one of 32 teams. The Eagles aren't really necessarily in on him to sign him back because they have Campbell. If he goes to Dallas, I'm not going to root for him by any means, whether it's against any team, especially because it's the Cowboys. But how many times is he going to be able to get paid in his life? That's
why I go, hey, congratulations. Like when the contract comes out, I will say, good for you, Nakobe. And then I'm going to say, I hope you don't play well, because if you play well, you help a team in the division that could be dangerous considering their offense. I don't understand why that's such a moronic thing to say. Like, there are people that will probably go over the top with their hatred toward Nakobe Dean. I won't hate him. I just won't root for him. Like, just because he wore the Eagles green at one point, if he signs a deal with the Dallas Cowboys, I won't root for him. There won't be oh, man, look at that stat line for Nakobe against the Vikings. 7 tackles and a sack. Like, that's awesome, man. Good for you. No, I'm going to say, damn, I wish he didn't do that, because that helped the Dallas Cowboys get a win. So, curious, your reaction when players that you love, because we love Nakobe Dean, sign with rival teams. We love Jason Worth, and I know how a lot of you reacted. To me, I was like, all right, good for you. You got paid. I just hope you don't play well. And I kind of got the best of both worlds, because he got paid and wasn't really that great with the Nationals. You can text in, call in 610-632-0975. All right, I'll tell you in a little bit how you can win the spot in Knockout today and the pair of tickets to the game against the Bulls. We also have to talk about what Aaron Nola was able to do on the mound yesterday. But before all that, here's what we've gotten into so far. Let's check our text line. What's the deal where you would finally say, all right, damn, I'll make the trade when it comes to A.J. Brown? I have been consistent with my message. I don't want him traded. John Kincade, a week or two ago, said, well, what if it's a first and a fourth? I said no. And then he asked me, all right, well, when will you say yes? And I said, all right, 1 and a 3. Yesterday, the Quinnen Williams comparison by Mike Garafolo, he was on the NFL Network, said that the Eagles are looking for a Quinnen Williams-type package, where the Dallas Cowboys traded a 2026 second-round pick and a 2027 first-round pick to get Quinnen Williams, who's a stud defensive tackle. If a team called and offered the Eagles a 1 and a 2, or a 2 and a 1, depending on the years, I can't say no to that. As much as I want him here, I can't say no to that. I don't think they're going to get that, quite frankly. But if they did, how could I say no to that? What do we got on the text line on any of our topics so far this morning? Because we've also gotten into the conversation about the importance of this draft. The reason why we even brought up the A.J. Brown trade package is, let's face it, if they do get a draft pick in this year's draft, a first or a second, this draft, to me, is a state of the franchise level of importance when it comes to the draft. You have to replace right tackle. not replace. You have to have the eventual replacement of right tackle. You have to have a wide receiver. You have to draft a tight end. We've not talked about the vacant cornerback spot enough. There could be a vacant safety spot if Reed Blankenship leaves. You still always want to bolster your trenches, especially the edge rusher room. The Eagles have a lot of areas where they're going to have to target. You could trade for players. You could sign players of free agency. I don't know how much money they're going to have available. They already have to start paying the guys on defense that helped you win a Super Bowl. They helped you win a Super Bowl on rookie deals. That's why this draft is imperative for the now, because we're talking about a Super Bowl window still being open. But you're also talking about replacing key players, not just depth. 610-632-0975. What do we got?
All right, first up, I feel like you're going to say no to this deal then, because this person checks in saying, first and a conditional fourth, I'd move AJ, nothing less.
All right, no, that's the package that I won't say anything. My question today is, what is the deal where you can't say no? We have a Twitter poll up and running right now, thanks to our friends at Iron Mountain Men's Health, Dr. Avi Donapel. You hear it in the afternoons, 4 hours strong. That poll runs 4 hours strong. The poll runs here in the mornings. The majority of you don't want A.J. Brown traded, myself included. What would your price be where you can't say no? And the majority of people are with me, the Quinnen Williams type package that Mike Garafolo brought up. First-round pick, second-round pick in separate years. Not trading A.J. Brown is still the second most votes at 30%. But a 2026 first and fourth, to that texter's point, is getting 18% of the vote because both those draft picks happen this year. And then we also have the second and third round pick in this year's draft. That's getting only 12% of the vote. But there's reasons why people are saying 12% because you're going to get it in this year and in back-to-back rounds. I can't turn down a first and a second, even if it is a span of 2 seasons. What else we got?
All right, next up on the Kobe Dean, this person checking in saying, Dean is not loved nearly as much as Jason Worth was.
Yes, because Jason Worth was on the field. Nothing against Nakobe Dean, but Jason Worth was on the field when the Phillies won a World Series. But Nakobe Dean's a loved player. Like, he's beloved by a lot of people. Not to the extent of Jason Worth, but the Dallas Cowboys aren't the Washington Nationals. I'm just curious to hear what the reaction would be if Nakobe Dean did go to the Dallas Cowboys. And it doesn't just have to be Dean specific. What is your reaction when players of note in this city sign with rival teams? I know how you all reacted in the winter of 2010. I did not have the same energy as you did. And I was much more younger and sprier with more energy. 610-632-0975. All right. Aaron Nola yesterday was on the mound for the Phillies against Team Canada. And Aaron Nola, so this one actually technically is not official spring training game. Do you know that? I Googled Phillies score because I just wanted to see the line, and it does not pop up. This game does not count because this game is a warm-up for Team Canada in the World Baseball Classic. But yesterday, Aaron Nola pitches 3 innings, allowed just 1 hit, did not walk any, struck out 4. He had 37 pitches, 28 strikes. Thanks to John Foley for really breaking it down. Am I going to overreact? No. Like I always say, I'm not going to overreact to an outing or at-bats in spring training, especially when, I don't know what the lineup for Team Canada was yesterday. But what's important is not necessarily the line on the day for Aaron Nola. He hit 94 miles per hour. Now, if anybody's been following the story of Aaron Nola, the career of Aaron Nola, Nola is a guy that really takes time to gear up. He is one of the, how many times have we heard Aaron Nola pitches better when it's warm out, because he's down from the bayou, right? We hear all these things. It's just another excuse in my book, but whatever. Aaron Nola typically in the spring is not popping the mid at 94 miles per hour. And after what we saw last year, where the velocity was down big time, the curveball had very little bite to it. And a guy that has kind of gone his career hitting spots, when you're missing your spots at 90, 91 miles per hour and your curveball is floating, that's going to be a reason why you're going to have an ERA of 6 in a season. and then the shutdown for whatever reason it ultimately was. If Aaron Nola was able to sort of save his arm last year, because look, I know Nola's a polarizing figure at times. The guy picks up the ball every fifth day. Up until last year, did every single fifth day. That's why he kept on surpassing 200 innings or coming close to 200 innings. If Aaron Nola was able to give his arm a break last year, or the team gave his arm a break last year, and whatever offseason program he went through, and if he's hitting 94 now, that's a good sign. Because Tom McCarthy, I still can't get it out of my brain. When Tom McCarthy, I believe, was on with Middays with Marks, I don't know if it was Middays with Marks or Unfiltered a few weeks ago, saying the Phillies' pitching depth hinges on Aaron Nola. That scared the hell out of me. Because I can't rely on Aaron Nola for much, other than picking up the ball every fifth day when healthy, which is he's done every single season except for last year. But if Aaron Nola is a competent pitcher, I'm not talking about Taijuan Walker picking up the ball every fifth day 2 years ago and having an ERA of 7, and you just knew that when he would go out there, your team was going to lose. If Aaron Nola can be a solid 3 or a 4 in this rotation, when Zach Wheeler comes back, he'll probably start as the 3 in the rotation at the beginning of the season, but when Wheeler comes back, he'll be dropped down to the 4th spot. If he can be that for the Phillies after losing Ranger Suarez, that's going to be a big deal for this team, especially because of the unknown with Andrew Painter. All right, speaking of Aaron Nola and the Phillies, here's how we're going to give away our tickets, or here's your chance to get a pair of tickets for the Sixers game against the Bulls March 25th. We've been opening it up around this time every single morning, so be prepared for more of that tomorrow. Sixers Bulls March 25th at the Xfinity Mobile Arena. Single game tickets today at Sixers.com. Pair of tickets, and then the spot in Knockout. A lot of people at McCloskey's in Ardmore yesterday were really, really excited. We were actually giving away a pair of tickets in the spot in Knockout yesterday, thanks to our friends at Corona. So it was a good time yesterday. McCloskey's, a lot of people were trying to win. Great bar, by the way. I've never been there. Have you ever been there in Ardmore?
I have not, no.
I lived in Manayunk, so I would take the train occasionally to Ardmore because it's right there. But that was not a place that I ever walked into. And I walked in, I was like, this is my kind of spot, man. It's an old bar. A lot of people were there. It was packed, and then people were excited for the Sixers. And the Sixers shirt that I'm rocking today, the Sixers Corona shirt. It's a very quality shirt. I'm excited about it. It was a big day for me yesterday, getting a free shirt.
That's where you got it yesterday?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Free shirt that I kind of copped, yeah. We also have a $50 gift card to Rita's to give away today. So we will have 2 prizes, 2 winners today. But one for the pair of Sixers tickets and the spot in Knockout. Yesterday when I was at McCloskey's, obviously the Sixers game was on and all that kind of stuff. NBC Sports Philadelphia promoted that they will be airing baseball today. 1 o'clock first pitch on NBC Sports Philadelphia. I'm excited about that because they're not on every single day, right? A lot of the times we have to see what happens from other networks, but we get to watch the Phillies today at 1:05, and I just started getting the itch that baseball is right around the corner. Opening day starts this month. So what we are going to do today, kind of like we've been doing all week long, where I want all of you to text in the answer, and then one lucky correct answer, one winner will be in the running for the Sixers tickets or the $50 gift card to Rita's. I have random opening day trivia for you, Phillies related. And it's going to be who started at this position and this year. Now, I'm not going to go back to the 80s and 90s. All right, maybe I'll go late 90s. We'll see. But I'm going to keep them relatively modern because I know it's going to be hard for people to go all the way back sometimes. And so we were just talking about Aaron Nola, who Nola made 6 consecutive opening day starts before Zach Wheeler took over in 2024. This is just an example question. All right? Just an example, so don't text it in just yet. Sean, do you remember who the last opening day starting pitcher was that was not Zach Wheeler or Aaron Nola?
Am I allowed to have the year or no?
2017.
2017. I just saw a video on this too.
Did you?
And it's really bothering me right now that I cannot remember. And it's someone that when you hear it, you're going to be like, oh, I forgot about him.
And even better, somehow was the opening day starter for this team back-to-back years. That Jeremy Hellickson was the opening day starter for the Phillies in 2017. He was also the opening day starter in 2016. back-to-back years, Jeremy Hellickson was the opening day starting pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. Man, how the times have changed. He's the last starting pitcher on opening day that was not Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. So I have a bunch of these very random opening day lineup trivia questions for you. And when I ask them, all you have to do is text in what you believe is the right answer to 610-632-0975. We'll probably do one each segment. And if you are one of the people that get it right, you'll be entered into the random drawing. We will then draw your name, and then you'll be in the running for either the Rita's gift card or the Sixers knockout. I'll give one now. So that was the example. All right, So the universal DH began in 2022. The Phillies, however, did open the season with a DH in 2020. I guess COVID, did they allow, was the DH a COVID thing?
Well, they played Oakland, but I don't know.
No, they played Miami.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong year.
In 2020, they opened the season. All right, this one's too hard. I was going to say who was the DH that year, and it was Jay Bruce. All right, I'll give you another one. Who was your opening day starting center fielder in 2022, the year the Phillies went to the World Series? Text in the answer, 610-632-0975. And if you get the answer right, you will then put into the random drawing, and one of you will be drawn out to be in the running for either the Rita's $50 gift card or the pair of Sixers tickets to the Bulls game March 25th in the spot of knockout. Who was the opening day starting center fielder for the Phillies in 2022, the year they went to the World Series? 610-632-0975. What do we have on the text line? Before the text line gets flooded with answers, what do we have on the text line about today's topics?
All right. We'll go back to the Nakobe Dean topic right now. And Mark from Hatboro checked in about if Dean went to the Cowboys. He says, if God himself were the Dallas Cowboys star, I am now an atheist.
Wow. All right. And so when I get the comment on YouTube about this guy's a moron, who cares? We're bringing religion into the conversation. There are people that care about that stuff. I don't. I won't root for said person. I won't. But if he signs a contract, I will applaud the player for getting paid, especially when they did something. Like, if there was a guy that did nothing for you, all right, whatever. I'm not applauding you. But, like, Jason Worth was a reason why you won a World Series. That's why I applauded him when he got paid, especially when the Phillies weren't going to give it. If Nakobe Dean gets paid, I will applaud him. Congratulations. Thank you for what you were able to accomplish with the Eagles. It's a shame that you were hurt. But I'm not rooting for him. But there are people, I'm telling you now, that will say, I hope he plays well, except for 2 games out of the year. Nick Sirianni literally said on a mic that I hope Christian Parker succeeds, except for 2 games out of the year. He's obviously talking about the 2 games against the Eagles. And Christian Parker is the new defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys. I hope he stinks. Period. I hope he stinks. What else we got?
All right. Maria in Doylestown checks in saying, I'd be sad if Dean goes to Dallas, but I'm not going to be angry at him. I'm not going to root for him anway, though.
All right. There you go. Yeah, you're not going to root for him. And I think to me, that's how I would go about any player that did something for my team and the team that they did it for wasn't going to pay them. And the Eagles aren't going to pay Nakobe Dean. Right? They have Jahad Campbell. Everybody that covers the NFL is telling you that Nakobe Dean is as good as gone. And if he's gone and it just so happens to be that the Dallas Cowboys offer him the most money, what am I supposed to say to that? Am I supposed to rip the guy? No. But week 1, I hope he has 0 tackles. I hope whoever the Dallas Cowboys play week 1, the running back on the opposing team blows him up in the middle of in between the A-gap. Nakobe Dean does not make a tackle, and the running back scores a touchdown. I don't want him to get hurt. I'm just saying, I hope that the one-on-one battle, the old Oklahoma drill, Nakobe Dean loses. That's what I want. That's what I root for. For him to not succeed, but congratulations on getting paid. You can continue to climb in on that at 610-632-0975. Where would you finally say, fine, I'll do the deal when it comes to A.J. Brown? What is that package? Quinnen Williams, second round to first round? That's what the Dallas Cowboys traded to the Jets to get Williams. If a team offers the Eagles a second and a first, a second in this draft, first in next draft, how can I say no to that? 610-632-0975. All right, coming up next, I'll give you another one of these opening day trivia games. Random opening day trivia. I'll try to keep them relatively modern, but I'm also not going to be like, who played first base for the Phillies last year? 2022 center fielder, some of you might have forgotten. Also, speaking of the A.J. Brown trade package, James Palmer joined Middays with Marks yesterday and said what teams don't want to do when it comes to A.J. Brown. You'll hear that next. It is Kincade Salciunas, Johnny on vacation, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Sixers get the win late. I'm Sean Rodman, and the Sixers were without 4 of its 5 starters last night against the Jazz. Maxey was the only regular starter on the court. He led the way with 25, and Jabari Walker off the bench had 22. Sixers are back in action Saturday night in Atlanta. Yesterday, it was reported the Eagles are asking for a first-round pick and more for A.J. Brown. ESPN's Adam Schefter joined us yesterday morning and told us how A.J. Brown trade talks are currently going.
They're certainly not making it easy, and they certainly don't seem like they're willing to move him. And if I had to bet $1 today, I'd say he's more likely to be there than not. Teams keep calling. Teams are being told the price is high.
Johan Duran made his spring debut yesterday against Canada for the Phillies. He pitched a scoreless inning with 1 strikeout. Flyers are back in action tonight at home against the Utah Mammoth. You can listen to the game right here on the Fanatic. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:30. It is the team's final game before the NHL trade deadline tomorrow at 3 p.m. On Patterson's and Sam Filippo will join us at 8:30. And Andrew Jecko joins us at 8 for the final 2 hours. This update is brought to you by TireRack.com. Rain or shine, drive with confidence on Vredestein tires from Tire Rack. Vredestein tires deliver precision handling, dependable traction, and quite comfort. Shipped fast and free 2 years on free road hazard protection. TireRack.com. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
with a story. eBay. Things people love.
Hey, John Marks here. And yes, I get asked all the time, who did my hair restoration? Well, it's the team at Morgenstern Hair Restoration. It's the team I still go to. And right now, they're including a free Alma TED treatment with your procedure. That's $1,000 value for free. It's painless, non-invasive, no needles, and it helps support the rest of your hair so everything blends and looks great. Call them, 610-831-HAIR, 610-831-HAIR, or visit morgensternhair.com and mention John Mark sent you.
Hey everybody, it's Bill Colarulo, and we have some big news at the Legacy Club. 5 brand new pickleball courts are debuting this April, and they're included as a brand new amenity for all membership tiers. So whether you're into open play, competitive matches, clinics, or fun social mixers, there's something for everyone. Plus, the Legacy Club Pro Shop is expanding with a dedicated pickleball section featuring paddles, balls, apparel, and accessories. Ready to join the fun? Learn more about membership at thelegacyclub.com/membership.
From the city that demands the truth, it's Middays with Marks and Friends with John Marks and Ray Dunn.
Every weekday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here on 97.5 The Fanatic and The Fanatic's YouTube channel.
Now back to Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and The Fanatic.
The BetParx online casino and sportsbook app. Live bet sports on the BetParx app. Play all your favorite casino games. There's always another way to win on the BetParx online.
Gift card to Rita's. So we will have 2 prize winners today. And before we play the audio from James Palmer, I have to bring something up. I've kept myself from talking about it for a little bit. It just bothered me last night. So I'm watching the Sixers game on NBC Sports Philadelphia, and I love the team at NBC Sports Philadelphia. They're great. And maybe when Amy's in here tomorrow, I'll be like, hey, Amy, do you think you could get a message to the people for me? I hate what they're trying to do with this video game-like broadcast. If you haven't been paying close enough attention, or maybe you haven't been watching because Joel Embiid has been out and the Sixers have been getting pummeled. On NBC, so not the national broadcast, but the local broadcast, they are doing what you would see on NBA 2K. When Tyrese Maxey has the ball, there is a circle around Tyrese Maxey, and Maxey is there. So if you've ever played any basketball video game ever, that's what NBC Sports Philadelphia is currently doing on the broadcast. I hate it. It messes with me. And they don't do it start to finish. They're not doing it consistently. You know, in the fourth quarter yesterday when the game was tight against the Utah freaking Jazz, they did not have it on the court. And I think part of that is probably because, all right, this game's tight. We don't need to have extracurriculars going on. But I'm watching, and it's bothering me because it's not immediate. You know how when you play NBA 2K, if Maxey passes it to Embiid, it's immediate Maxey, Embiid. It's not generating quick enough. So when Maxey has the ball, the circle forms, and then somebody has to click a button. It's still human. I'm guessing somebody in a truck has to hit the right button to have the right name underneath Tyrese Maxey. But it's delayed. And so if Maxey gets the ball and then quickly passes it, now the circles are changed. It's messing with my brain, man. I don't know if you caught that. I don't know if that's been bothering you at all. I've seen it the last couple of weeks, but they've also had the national games, and so there hasn't been so much on NBC Sports Philadelphia recently. I don't need it. And I Googled it just to see when it started, and somebody put out a Facebook post about it. So I clicked on this random Facebook post, some random Sixers Facebook page, and people are like, well, maybe it's for the casual fans that don't know who the players are. It's basketball. It's not that hard to know who is who. Hockey's a little bit different because they're wearing the mask and the helmet, but even hockey, I don't want it. I remember they had the laser puck back in the day. Did you catch that? Did that bother you at all?
The late passing definitely was a little bit annoying. I mean, if though, with the puck, though, a couple years ago. I didn't mind that, though. The laser puck on it. Because, sometimes it's hard to see the puck at times, I feel like.
I got you.
But for the players and for NBA and NBC Sports Philadelphia, can't say I'm a fan, especially because of the delay on the passing.
Yeah, and okay, sure, I know the players. Maybe somebody that's just watching the game for the first time is watching. But why does the person that's just watching the game for the first time care who Jabari Walker is? Well, maybe that's not the right name to pick because he had a really good game yesterday. But, is somebody going to be like, oh, Trendon Watford has the ball. I'm going to pay attention. I feel like you don't need that. I feel like there are a lot of companies that are trying to do the next new thing. And I understand there are football stat nerds. I say that, with love. There are football stat nerds that love the alternate football broadcast. I think Prime does it, where they have literally guys in motion and the line is following them and they show the route tree when the guys are running and it shows how fast they're running and all these kind of things. I don't need any of that. Give me a traditional broadcast. When you do the replay, sure, show me what the top speed was of said player. Like when there's a kick return for a touchdown and they show, the yellow line that follows them of where they ran, the path that they took, and then the speed that they went. I don't need to watch NBA 2K Real Life Edition. Who is that for? If you like 2K, you probably like basketball. You probably have been watching basketball your whole life without needing the nameplate underneath the player. I don't know if anybody's noticed that, and if you have, has it bothered you, or do you like it? I'm sure there's somebody out there that likes it. I'm sure somebody in the meeting room said this is a good idea. I'm not a fan of it, and I'm just voicing my opinion on that. I'm curious if anybody has an opinion on that. 610-632-0975. All right, before we give our next trivia question, I'm going to play this James Palmer audio, but congratulations to Dave in North Wales for getting the first answer of random opening day trivia. Phillies game will be on NBC Sports Philadelphia today. Excited for that, and it got me thinking about opening day. Matt Vierling was the answer. Nobody on YouTube got it right. You said a lot of people got it right on the text line.
Yes, the majority of people got it right on the
YouTube,
text line.
I need you to step it up here a little bit, all right? You can't get beat down by the text line. Matt Vierling was the 2022 opening day starter for the Philadelphia Phillies in center field the year they went to the World Series. All right, here was James Palmer yesterday with Middays with Marks talking about what teams do not want to do when it comes to A.J. Brown.
I think those teams are all trying not to give up a first-round pick for AJ. I mean, you could look at a comp of when Stephon Diggs went to Houston, in all honesty. I think that was like a second. And there were some other things that were exchanged. But you could almost use that as a little bit of a comp. I don't know if it's still a first-round pick for A.J. Brown. And this is why. There are some people around the league that I've talked to, and I'm not putting anything past A.J. Brown considering the way he works. And obviously, we've all seen him topless, right? So, listen, the way A.J. works and the way he goes about his business is one thing. But there are plenty of people in the league that do believe this is probably the best we've seen A.J. play.
The way he looks with his shirt off aside, if a team is offering no first-round pick, it's not happening. I am not making a trade. So our main topic this morning that we started the show off is what is the package where you will finally say, all right, because I don't want A.J. Brown traded, but everybody's got a price. And when Mike Garafolo reports the Quinnen Williams-type package, which was a 2026 second-round pick and a 2027 first-round pick, how do I say no to that? Especially when A.J. Brown is not necessarily thrilled to be here. So I can't say no to that. But what is that number? We had a guy earlier text in. He would take a 1 and a 4, so not a 1 and a 2, but the 1 and the 4 both being in this draft. So is there a package where you will say, all right, fine, I can't say no to that? Or is there no package? And obviously we're playing a game in real life. Nobody's offering 5 first-round picks. Nobody's offering 2 first-round picks. And James Palmer's telling you that nobody's going to maybe offer a first-round pick. If nobody's offering a first-round pick, I'm out. Hang up the phone. It does not happen. 610-632-0975. What do we have on the text line this morning, Sean?
All right. Our next texter checking in saying, I think where the first-round pick matters. Top 20 or a pick how he thinks will fall in top 20 in 2027 and a 4th. Otherwise, it's a late first and second for me.
Yeah, it's going to be a late first. I would imagine, right? Like we've heard from everybody about the teams that would be interested. And Adam Schefter was on with us yesterday, straight up told me on the show here that a team called this weekend and a team heard the package and a team said, all right, good luck, pleasure doing business with you. The teams that have been talked about the most have been the New England Patriots, so they have the 31st overall pick. The Denver Broncos, they were in the AFC Championship game, so they have a late first-round pick. There have been plenty of teams in the AFC. The Baltimore Ravens, a little bit lower because they didn't make the playoffs. That's a team that could use a wide receiver like A.J. Brown. So there are teams that could use A.J. Brown. It's just whether or not they're willing to pony up a first-round pick. And if James Palmer's saying teams aren't going to want to do that, well, then I'm not even considering it. I'm not even having the conversation. I don't care how dramatic last year was. I don't care how annoying it was at points last year. I'm not giving away a very good football player for what is not worth it. A second-round pick, a second and a fourth, pick swaps. I'm not doing any of that. All right, what else we got in the text line? We're also talking about players leaving and going to rivals and how you react to it. Much like Jason Worth went to the Nationals, Nakobe Dean could go to the Dallas Cowboys. I will congratulate him on his payday. I will not root for him for a second. What do we got?
Next up, we have, in regards to Dean or anyone who goes elsewhere on new contracts, congrats on getting the bag, but see you later.
Yeah. I think that's a very simple way of looking at it. I don't think we have to go, if God played for the Cowboys, I'd become an atheist. That was one of our texts earlier today. That was extreme. But, congratulations. I hope you fail. Same to Christian Parker. I know everybody loves him and respects him. I don't love him. He's the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys. I hope he does not perform well. But congratulations on your opportunity. All right, I'll give you another trivia question here. So earlier I gave you who was the starting pitcher on opening day before Wheeler / Nola. That was the example question. And Jeremy Hellickson was the horrific correct answer. Who was the last catcher not named JT Realmuto to start opening day for the Philadelphia Phillies? If you need the year, it was 2018. So who was the 2018 starting catcher on opening day for the Phillies? The last starting catcher on opening day that was not JT Realmuto. Text in the correct answer at 610-632-0975 or what you think is the correct answer. And if you get it right, you could be one of the qualifiers for the pair of tickets, Sixers Bulls March 25th spot and knockout. We also have a $50 gift card to Rita's Water Ice to give away today. So that's what we're doing throughout the course of the show. Random opening day trivia questions. I'm trying to keep them modern. I'm not going to go back to the 1980s. Maybe I'll go to a 1990 if it's like a player of note. But they're a little obscure. Like Matt Vierling's obscure, and this answer is obscure. Who was the opening day catcher for the Philadelphia Phillies in 2018? He was the last opening day catcher that was not named JT Realmuto. And if you've ever listened to me on these airwaves, I despised this player. Oh, hated every time he was in the lineup, even as a backup to JT Realmuto. There's another clue for you. 610-632-0975. All right, coming up next, it's today's headlines with Sean Rodman, who is filling in for Connor Thomas today. Do you have anything regarding an outfit in today's headlines?
An outfit?
Yes.
No.
All right. If you have not seen what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wore yesterday,
I did not. Look
it up during the break, and we will discuss. I need to know who at the Fanatic would ever even try that. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. All right, let me tell you about that FanDuel Sportsbook app. My bad, Robin. All right, college basketball nonstop, big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. And now FanDuel, in partnership with the Valley Forge, is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. I love this because we all get it. There are times where the odds are so heavily favored for a team that you're wondering, all right, what's the point of even making this bet? Well, with a profit boost, you can bet on multiple favorites, even if it's just money line, put them together. The payout might still not be extreme, but with the profit boost, you're going to get a little bit more back. So you can bet any way you want. Could be spreads, could be money lines, could be favorites, could be underdogs, could be the team that you've been following all season long. I've been talking about the Michigan Wolverines since like the second week of the college basketball season. I thought they'd go undefeated. They've lost twice. Shame on me. 27-2. They're at Iowa tonight. Michigan's just been so much fun to watch. That team is just ridiculous. Go safe, go spicy, go with the team you've been following all year. Whatever you want to do, it's your parlay, it's your style. Just head to FanDuel.com/local to get started. That's FanDuel.com/local. FanDuel, play your game. Got to be 21 plus. President, Pennsylvania, opt-in required. Minimum 2-leg parlay required. Bonus issued as non-triple props or boost builder tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amounts. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
No hot takes, no rage bait.
Against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals
It is 7:46. You see on 2K, and I hate it. It was messing with me, so I wonder if anybody else caught that and if it bothered them. But that of course, led to a conversation on YouTube about some of the best basketball games, video games of all time. I'm a video game guy, so when John's out, I can talk video games a little bit more because John tried some with his daughter, which I respect, but I don't know how much 2K John has ever played. I don't know how much NBA Jam John has played. They started talking about NBA Jam, and they started talking about some of the best original duos. Years ago, I did a weekend topic trying to figure out what the best duo current day would be. And if I think about that now, would it be Shea and Chet?
Probably for NBA Jam.
Would that be the best? Because they can both shoot. They can both do things all over the court.
Joker and Murray, maybe?
Yeah, but Joker's slow.
I know.
But that's a good answer because he could shoot from anywhere. I wonder if Shea and Chet would be the best NBA Jam duo. If Embiid's healthy, Maxey Embiid, but that's probably not the case. You could do like a Cade Cunningham and Tobias.
How about Wemby and De'Aaron Fox or whichever guard you'd want?
Yeah, you could pick like 7 of them. Yeah, I mean, there's what about Jared McCain and Isaiah Joe? That could be a duo.
That is a duo.
What do you think are the best current duos? Luke and LeBron MBD checks in. Yeah, can't really hate on that one either. Congratulations to Nate from Douglasville. Nate was our second qualifier. The correct answer was Andrew Knapp, the last starting catcher on opening day, not named JT Realmuto. I'll give you another one now. Who was last year's opening day starting center fielder? Because it's been all over the place. There has been 7 different opening day starter center fielders over the last 8 years. I'm just asking you for last year's opening day starting center fielder. Text in the answer at 610-632-0975. You get it right, you'll be one of the qualifiers, potential qualifiers for the Sixers-Bulls tickets, spot knockout, also the $50 gift card to Rita's. All right, did you see Shea's outfit?
I did now.
All right. What do you make of it?
I don't even know where to start.
So, in case people didn't see it, it's a fur coat. A fur coat that does not look like it zips up. You may be able to tie it together. So he's got the white T-shirt popping underneath. But it's not necessarily the coat shoulders down that you're looking at. It's the round fur that goes up to his bottom lip, goes around the bottom of his face, goes up his ears, but then doesn't cover his hair. If you haven't seen it, find it online. And I wonder who at the Fanatic would wear that. You have been designated as if there was a furry at the station, it would be you.
Yeah, apparently.
Who would wear that?
Sean Brace.
That's a freaking amazing answer.
Sean Brace, easy.
I might take the furry title off of you because of how good that answer is. I could totally see Sean Brace wearing that. Good job, Sean. Time now for today's headlines with Sean Rodman.
Today's headlines with Sean, no relation to Dennis Rodman.
All right, today's headlines is brought to you by Lundy Law. Lundy Law is over 70 years of experience. Go to lundylaw.com. Over at lundylaw.com.
Over.
All right. First up, let's go back to what Connor had yesterday. Connor had one with Stephen A. Smith, Zion Williamson, with Stephen A. Smith calling him out, saying he's eating too much, he's got an eating problem, and then we saw that the Pelicans tweeted something out, and Stephen A. Smith responded to that.
Did he?
Only the Hornets and you have never been to a conference finals. But you got the time to clap back at me. Well, if you're going to do that, at least tell America why. It's the only thing that can make you relevant. You and your social media department felt the need to come back at me and clap back at me because you want to make a statement. You want notoriety. You want publicity. You want to be noticed. Damn it, half the world forgets you have a basketball team.
Wow. Look, I thought both were fair the other day. Stephen A. Smith calling out Zion Williamson because Zion Williamson was supposed to be the next LeBron, the next face of the league, and he did not go about his personal training reportedly correctly, right? And it's led to missing a lot of games. Stephen A. Smith is obviously a character sometimes on First Take, and he says things that go viral, right? But I think he actually means what he has to say. I actually say, all right, good for the Pelicans for defending their guy. I don't see a lot of Philadelphia Twitter accounts defending their players, so good for them. But Stephen A. Smith's response to that is also fair. The Pelicans are an irrelevant basketball team. They're an irrelevant franchise. The only thing that makes them relevant is will Zion play, yes or no, and of course their social media team. So I think still everything is fair. Let's see what the Pelicans respond to next.
That is fair. And, speaking of responding and teams in Philadelphia, Bo Bichette joined foul territory yesterday, and he had a response to what if the Philly fans boo him?
I don't know. I've never been booed by an opposing crowd like that. So
if you need advice, let me know. Okay, I got that. I'm down.
I look forward to it, man. I look forward to it. That's
Yeah, it's gonna happen. He is gonna get booed. I'm still not letting Dave Dombrowski and the Phillies off the hook. I know they thought they had a deal done. They went to bed, and then all of a sudden, a deal shifted. People can be mad at Bo Bichette about that. Dave Dombrowski does not believe in opt-outs. He doesn't. And John's, told us a couple times, he's talked to a few people that when Dave Dombrowski eventually leaves, maybe the next wave of people would be open to opt-outs. It's kind of the way baseball is going. We got lucky with the whole Bryce Harper didn't want to opt out of his contract. The guy that was also being signed that year, Manny Machado, opted out 3 years in, re-signed the Padres for a lot more money. Phillies benefited from it. That's not how it always works. And so, yeah, Bo Bichette's going to get booed. He should get booed because he stabbed the Phillies in the back. But Dave Dombrowski also is out on doing certain things that other players may want. He's going to get booed, though. All right. Good job, Sean. Thank you very much. All right. Coming up next. It is a Thursday, and I already saw him lurking out there. My man Andrew Pacheco is ready to go. 2 football guys on the show today. Andrew and Andrew. Pacheco joins us in studio for the rest of the show, and we will reset today's topic, which today's topic is there a package where you can't say no when it comes to A.J. Brown? Last time Andrew was on with us, he was leaning toward he would be traded. It's changing every other day. Let's see where Andrew is at coming up next. Also, this draft, something that we've gone away from a little bit because we've got a lot of stuff on the table today. Do you get the sense that this draft is a state-of-the-franchise level importance draft? Because I do. We'll go through all that next with you and with Andrew Pacheco for the rest of the show here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Sixers bounce back. I'm Sean Rodman, and after a blowout loss the other night, the depleted Sixers beat the Utah Jazz last night. Maxey led the way with 25, and Jabari Walker off the bench had 22. Sixers were without Embiid, Oubre, and Edgecombe last night. Sixers are back in action Saturday night in Atlanta. Yesterday, it was reported that the Eagles are asking for a first-round pick and more for A.J. Brown. Bleacher Report's James Palmer joined Middays with Mark yesterday on what he believes teams are willing to send the Eagles in a trade.
I think those teams are all trying not to give up a first-round pick for AJ. I mean, you could look at a comp of when Stephon Diggs went to Houston, in all honesty. I think that was like a second. And there were some other things that were exchanged.
Johan Duran made his spring debut yesterday for the Phillies against Team Canada. He pitched a scoreless inning with 1 strikeout. Flyers are back in action tonight at home against the Utah Mammoth. You can listen to the game right here on The Fanatic. Pregame coverage begins at 6:30. On Patterson's, Anthony Sanfilippo joins the show at 8:30, and Andrew Pacheco joins us next for the final 2 hours. This update is brought to you by Papa John's. Introducing new pan pizza from Papa John's. Order a medium 1-top pan pizza, just $11.99 when you download the Papa John's app or at papajohns.com. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
Subscribe to Fanatic in the Fanatic app.
It is 8 a.m. on this Thursday morning, which means I have a fellow football guy to my left for the rest of the show in studio inside the Birds at 97.5, the Fanatic. My man Andrew DeCecco joins us. Andrew, good morning.
Hey, man, what's going on?
You got the Terrapin shirt on.
Oh, yeah.
What is the pro day coming up soon?
Later this month, a couple Maryland guys were at the NFL Scouting Combine. Offensive tackle Alan Herron and defensive back Jalen Husky. Jalen Husky, to my disappointment, did not perform during the testing, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he could do at pro day.
I love that, man. I love that you were like, Maryland's one of your stops for the pro day. I love it. So, DeCecco, we will be doing at 8:47 today, 47 minutes from now. I'm already teasing it, the first edition of DeCecco Deep Cuts, where you tell us a player from whatever school, whatever round it could be. We'll talk about some of the first-round grades and the second-round grades. But what I loved last year was every week you gave us a DeCecco Deep Cut.
Oh, I have a few right off the top of my head.
All right, I can't wait. That comes up at 8:47. But before we start all that, let's get to some business here. So yesterday, let's play the clip, Rodman. Yesterday, Mike Garafolo was on the NFL Network. It dropped toward the end of the show, so we didn't have much time to react to it. But this was Mike Garafolo on the NFL Network talking about what the potential package the Eagles are hoping to get for A.J. Brown is.
A.J. Brown with the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about him potentially being moved. I've had some conversations with sources informed of what's happening there. My understanding is teams are making offers to the Eagles for a trade, and to this point, they have not gotten to the point at which the Eagles would make the move. In their mind, it's a Quinnen Williams type deal. We're talking a potential first-round pick with a second-round sweetener on it. That's kind of where it is for the Eagles to start to consider moving A.J. Brown. If they don't get close to that point or to that point, I don't think Howie Roseman moves him. I think he keeps A.J. Brown in the fold. He's a really good player. He is highly valued inside that building. Now, right now, all the money that's committed to AJ, if he remains with the team, is affecting their ability to sign other free. Like, they'd like to have Dallas Goedert back now, but they don't know necessarily whether or not they're going to be able to pay AJ Brown or have to pay AJ Brown. So that's sort of affecting business. But in the meantime, the Eagles not feeling like, well, we have to trade AJ. It's our team's going to come up and make that offer to meet that price.
So the whole what kind of money will we have if we have AJ, if we don't have AJ? That's a whole other conversation for another day. But the package, in case people don't know, have not heard us mention it a couple of times today, the Quinnen Williams deal where the Dallas Cowboys acquired Quinnen Williams, they traded a 2026 second-round pick. This happened in season right before the NFL trade deadline. 2026 second-round pick, so they'll be using that pick this year, the New York Jets. 2027 first-round pick, and they threw in Mozzie Smith, who's kind of a throw-in because he's so far a bust. In terms of
he hasn't played well.
He's not played well. A, do you believe that is realistic? B, is that a package where you can't say no if you're Howie Rose?
Yes, I think that would be entertained, right? I mean, a first-round pick.
A.J. Brown traded, they are realizing, all right, I can't say no to that. And that's me. I don't want him traded. I've made that very clear. But if a team offered me a 1 and a 2 for a 29-year-old, soon-to-be 29-year-old wide receiver, and oh, by the way, the second draft pick will be when he's turning 30.
And knowing that you have so many needs on the roster to fill out, it's awfully enticing.
It is.
But to be clear, option D is the most sensible. If you're the Eagles, you don't want to part with A.J. Brown.
Right.
I imagine if you're a fan, you don't want to see the Eagles part with A.J. Brown.
That is getting the second most votes, by the way, 29%.
But some deals are too difficult to, or too, I guess, enticing to walk away from. And that gives you the opportunity and the flexibility to construct the roster and build it for long-term success. The Eagles are obviously a markedly better team with A.J. Brown on it. And I think the Eagles' stance here, and they're doing everything properly. They're not taking the first deal. They're not picking up the phone and saying, yeah, you got it. They're waiting and allowing this to play out, because you don't just give away a top 5, top 8 wide receiver in the NFL. They're so hard to come by, and I think the Eagles are playing this right.
So let me ask you this question. I love our man Shefty, but you're in the locker room, right? Shefty talks to people all across the NFL, and he has some incredible insight, but you're in the locker room. So yesterday when we had Shefty on, he was still doing kind of that wishy-washy thing where he still thinks he's back, more so than traded, but like very close, right? It could swing any moment. And I asked him, I was like, look, Shefty, if he doesn't get traded, because we've all heard at some point from some reporter, whether you want to believe it or not, that he has been upset. Rolling the offense, the way the offense was run. There was the very interesting report from Brooks, who I know you really respect.
Oh, yeah, Brooks is my guy, man.
About how there was more people upset about Kevin Patullo, and they're just kind of letting it out now. And there were people that were saying, why was Jalen Hurts the scapegoat in the middle of the season, which was something that I was upset about. But if A.J. Brown does return, how do they make him happy? Is it just, hey, we're going to guarantee you 10 targets a game?
Well, you can't do that.
I know. So how is it like AJ has whispered that he wanted out. He wants out. If he doesn't go out, I don't think he's the type of player that's going to hold out. That's just me. That's my read on AJ Brown. The way you speak of him, the way he's beloved, the way he takes, holds himself accountable. I love that about AJ Brown. But if he comes back, like, what do they do to make him happy that he's still a Philadelphia Eagle?
Well, there's a lot of different things that the Eagles could do to get him on board with this offense. I think the first meeting would be him and Sean Mannion getting together and figuring out, how can I be more involved early in the game? Because I feel like teams play the Eagles differently when A.J. Brown gets in the game. And I also believe, and you saw this last year, there weren't a lot of opportunities to create yards after the catch. And that A.J. is exceptional in that area. Find ways to get him in space where he can turn some of those hitch routes that I know that a lot of folks out there are groaning about, but give him opportunities to turn that into a 20, 30, 40-yard pickup. And I think if you look across every game last season, even Devontae Smith, every reception that he had, seemingly he was taking a big shot and was not in position to take advantage of his ability to churn out yards after the catch. So I think utilization, I think route concepts, spacing, all of those things, much like you read in Brooks' story that, you have to be able to earn the trust of the players.
Yeah.
I think if you're able to convey a point and be very convicted in your belief in your system, you can get AJ to buy into it and say, okay, I believe that this will ultimately be the best for me in my career. But he's talked a lot, and you know this, Andrew, because we've discussed it here, that I think he said his biggest thrill is lining up across a defensive back and dominating.
Yes.
He said one of the greatest joys that he has is watching a defensive back hang his head in defeat. He wants to be involved heavily. He knows how much of an impact he can have on the game. This is a low-volume passing offense, and it has been for a while now. The Eagles are playing a different style, especially with Saquon Barkley here. And I think if Sean Mannion's able to convey his system and how A.J. Brown's going to be a part of it, it shouldn't be a tough sell.
No. You brought up the yards after the catch. I was looking for it. Were you in the day we looked that up, who had the most yards after the catch for the Eagles? Were you in that day with John?
No. Would it be Saquon Barkley?
It was Saquon. He had 296 total yards after catch, which was 56th in the NFL. 56th. Devontae was 57th, tied with Cooper Kupp for 293. AJ, yards after the catch, 268 yards. That's 70th in the NFL. And if you look at like names ahead of those guys, it's third receivers on teams. It's tight ends on teams. It's Tyjae Spears, who was a backup running back who
for the Titans, yeah.
Didn't even start the season, right? Wasn't he injured at the beginning of the season for the Titans?
Yes, and he's more of that gadget type of manufactured
he played
touch player.
13 games. Like, these are like Jawan Johnson should not have more yards after the catch than anybody on the Eagles, or like a top guy on the Eagles, and he
Certainly
was 27th. Like that was one of the bigger issues with the offense. It was just, all right, let's just get to the first down marker. That's what it was. And Nick Sirianni prides himself on obviously keeping the ball safe, but also explosive plays. There's no explosive plays when you're just trying to get to the first down marker, and that's what it felt like they did a lot last year. Now, you brought up the draft, because if you were to trade A.J. Brown, it's really enticing because of this draft. So I started the show off with the A.J. Brown report, the latest sort of nugget from Mike Garafolo, and then I wanted to transition into draft talk because I know we're all exhausted by it. I hear you. We're all exhausted by it. Got to still talk about it, though. Do you get the sense that this draft, the 2026 NFL draft for the Philadelphia Eagles, is a franchise, state-of-the-franchise level of important draft? And I know all drafts are important, and you know that even more. Like, you talk about depth guys in the 5th and 6th round, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm talking about state of the franchise. We're talking about keeping a championship window open, not just for 2026, but for the rest of this decade, right before 2030 hits. Do you believe this draft is a state-of-the-franchise draft?
I mean, it's a little strong, but when you look at, you have to come out of this draft with Lane Johnson's heir apparent. You
That's
need
big.
to come out with a tight end that's going to be the future of the franchise, if not this season. You do need to get another wide receiver. You have to start building your offense up with younger players, but you're also expecting a lot of these younger players to step in and not miss a beat. So I think sometimes that's a little bit of more of a loftier expectation than is fair for some of these prospects, especially tight end, where if you go into free agency, you're not able to keep Dallas Goedert. If none of those names are intriguing to you, you're now banking on a second or maybe even a first-round tight end to step in there and give you that kind of production.
And that's why I didn't.
It's important to identify the right players. But I think it's also unfair to expect the players in this draft, all of the players in this draft who the Eagles take, to step in and give you...
Yeah, I'm not talking about like Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, right, where those two guys, they helped you win a Super Bowl. But they helped you win a Super Bowl. I'm talking about you need to hit on Lane Johnson's replacement this year, right? It's not going to play out this year. Mm-hmm. But when you eventually start him, maybe next season, like 2027 season or 2028, he needs to be good, because right tackle, very important position. Tight end needs to be good. The Eagles franchise over the last 20 years have had tight ends that you plug and play.
This is a good draft for him, by the way.
Yes, wide receiver, another important position. We finally were able to, feel what it's like to have good wide receivers in this town. And you have two of them, and one might potentially leave. And even if he doesn't, you need to start drafting, like what the Bucs did with Igbuka, with what the Seahawks did a few years ago with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Even though they already had Metcalf and Lockett, they were planning for the future. And what happened to the Seahawks this year? They won the freaking Super Bowl. To me, this draft, because of what you have in terms of draft picks, you have the first-round pick, second-round pick, 2 third-round picks, and a fourth-round pick. 2 fourth-round picks. They might move up in some of these areas. If A.J. Brown does get traded, that's another player that they could acquire for the future. If this draft goes poorly, because they're on a stretch of very good drafts. We'll see how last year's plays out, but they're on a stretch of very, very good drafts. Elite draft from 2 years ago with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. If this is one of those drafts where you only get like 1 or 2 hits, I'm worried about years to come for the Eagles. Obviously, you can sign players through free agency. Obviously, you can make trades. The Eagles have done that with the left tackle position over the years, Jason Peters and John Runyon. But if they don't hit in this draft, I'm starting to me, this is a very, very important draft. It may be strong, but I'm serious.
No, it is a very important draft. But I think Howie Roseman's recent track record, you're going back 7 years or so, it should quell any concerns that you may have. I believe that more often than not, the Eagles have really hit it out of the park, especially with their day 1 and day 2 draft picks. But you mentioned something earlier as I was driving in. I heard you talk about cornerback.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, and you mentioned cornerback, I believe, yesterday. And so it's not realistic to expect the Eagles to address all of their needs in the draft, so you have to look at who they're replacing and how the system might be able to, I don't want to say hide or maybe camouflage that second corner. And I think Adoree Jackson, he sort of settled in and did a nice job. Didn't break the bank to bring him in. I think that might be something that they look to in free agency, because I think in the first round, you're looking at Avion Terrell. That's a player that I like, but they have so many other pressing needs. And you get further down the line, I don't view it as you're getting starting caliber players. You're getting depth pieces or developmental upside type of players. So I look at someone like, if you're looking for a redemption story, like a Cam Taylor-Britt, who was a second-round pick of the Cincinnati Bengals, 26 years old, did not have a good season, was benched, and then had a season-ending Liz Frank injury. But he's young, and if you bank on developmental player development like the Eagles have thrived in, that might be somebody you look at. Maybe a Joshua Williams, who's not a household name, but he was with the Kansas City Chiefs, played 400 snaps plus in 2 of his 3 seasons, 300, and one of them only played 17 last year, sort of fell out of favor. But that is someone who I believe his estimated salary is going to be $1.5 million.
Right.
26 years old. You've been with the Chiefs. You won 2 Super Bowls. He's 6'3", 193 pounds. Maybe that's something that's a low-risk dart throw that you bank on Joe Casper getting the most out of it. I think that might be the best way to go about addressing corner.
How about that? Hey, you're the best, Andrew. I love you, man. You're the best. We will talk more about the cornerback position because I do think it's being an under-discussed position right now. When it was like the number one, we hate this position last year, until a lot of people jumped the gun on Adoree Jackson. He did end up settling in, but there was a lot of fear with CB2. Few of us were more worried about the edge rusher position. A lot of people were worried about the second cornerback spot, and we might be back in that same conversation this year, and yet it's not really been talked about all that much. All right, are you excited for Knockout?
Sure.
Will you be participating?
No, I'm not going.
Come on, dude.
Come on.
I never go.
Why?
I don't know. It's not really my thing.
You're a hoop head. Why not?
Yeah,
dude,
I gotta work, man.
You box somebody out.
I got work. I gotta write. That's right in the thick of pro days, draft season.
You can scout some of the people on the knockout court. Maybe there's a
scout some of the people on the knockout.
Maybe there's a diamond in the rough. Maybe there's a Vince Papale out there.
To do what? Be a quality control coach? I mean.
Anyways, we are giving away a pair of tickets for the Sixers Bulls game, March 25th, and the spot of Knockout. We also have a $50 gift card to Rita's Water Ice that we're giving away today. So what we are doing, because each day this week we've done just these random games where people text them in, and then we pick a random qualifier. Yesterday, watching the Sixers broadcast, or the pregame show with the great Amy Fadul and company, they were promoting Phillies today, 105, spring training action. We don't get to watch so many spring training games because everybody's cutting back. And it just got me thinking about baseball. And so I'm doing random opening day trivia Phillies edition. All right? Where our first example was before Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, who was the last opening day starter on the mound for the Phillies? And the answer was Jeremy Hellickson. And believe it or not, he did back-to-back years for the Phillies. So I've been giving random questions like that. So congratulations to Sean from Wright.
No, from Northeast Philly. Sean Wright is his name.
Oh, it says Sean from Wright from Northeast Philly.
My bad.
I was like, where the hell is Wright?
Well, I'm glad we got to the bottom of this.
So congratulations to Sean Wright from Northeast Philly for being our latest qualifier. All right. In 2023, so bite your tongue, don't answer it, because I know you got this one. In 2023, who was the opening day starter for the Phillies at first base? The opening day starter at first base for the Phillies in 2023. Text in the answer that you believe is correct to 610-632-0975. And if you get it right, you'll get entered into the pool. And then one person from the pool will be one of our qualifiers for the Sixers Bulls tickets. We also have the $50 gift card to Rita's Water Ice to give away at the end of the show today. Who is the starting first baseman for the Phillies on opening day of 2023. 610-632-0975. Coming up next, we get to double dip, Andrew. It's always great to have someone who can cover a team that starts this month and a team that's actively playing but has a trade deadline to focus on tomorrow. From On Patterson, Ant Sanfilippo is going to join us to talk about a little Phillies and the trade deadline for the Flyers. I hope they don't fool themselves into thinking that they got some push for the playoffs. We'll speak with Ant San next. It is Kincade and Salciunas. Johnny on vacation this week. Andrew DeCecco in studio the rest of the show here on The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The depleted Sixers win it late. I'm Sean Rodman, and the Sixers were without 4 of its 5 starters last night against the Jazz. Maxey, the only regular starter on the court, led the way with 25 points, and Jabari Walker off the bench had 22. Sixers are back in action Saturday night in Atlanta. Yesterday, it was reported that the Eagles are asking for a first-round pick and more for A.J. Brown. ESPN's Adam Schefter joined us yesterday morning and told us how A.J. Brown trade talks are currently going.
They're certainly not making it easy, and they certainly don't seem like they're willing to move him. And if I had to bet $1 today, I'd say he's more likely to be there than not. Teams keep calling. Teams are being told the price is high.
Johan Duran made his spring debut yesterday for the Phillies against Team Canada. He pitched a scoreless inning with 1 strikeout. The Flyers are back in action tonight at home against the Utah Mammoth. You can listen to the game right here on The Fanatic. Pregame coverage begins at 6:30, and the team's final game before the NHL trade deadline is tomorrow at 3 p.m. On Patterson's Anthony Sanfilippo joins us next, and Andrew DeCecco is with us until the end of the show. This update is brought to you by Uber Eats. Philly, you hungry? Good thing Uber Eats has a great deal waiting for you at Coco's Cookies and Creamery. From now until March 31st, get a buy one, get one free deal on a milkshake, all on the Uber Eats app. Order now only on Uber Eats. Legal terms apply. See app for details. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and 97.5 The Fanatic and The Fanatic app.
Benari Jewelers shopping for an engagement ring. They bring pictures from Pinterest, from bridal websites, celebrities. They're looking for a particular style. And at Benari, we've got it. Benari Jewelers is always on the cutting edge with rings and styles reflecting the current trends. What setting and style are you looking for? Bezel, east to west, vintage, halo, hidden halo, channel set? We've got it. Intricate and unique rings from our own design studios and world-renowned designers like Tacori and A. Jaffe. In a Benari case, you'll never see mass-produced cookie-cutter rings and stale designs. We have thousands of unique, one-of-a-kind rings, handcrafted and rose.
I wonder what they're going to get into. It is a Thursday, which means Andrew DeCecco in studio with us for the rest of the show. Did anybody get the answer right? You don't have to tell me the qualifier just yet. Did anybody get the answer right?
Actually, a good number of people did.
All right, YouTube. You guys are coming up small, man. YouTube, nobody got that one right. Who was the opening day starting first baseman for the Phillies in 2023? I told you that they were going to be modern, but I wasn't going to give you layups. And it was not Bryce Harper, nor was it Rhys Hoskins. How about that? Derek Hall was your opening day starter because unfortunately Rhys got hurt right at the end of spring training. And they're like, what do we do here? And Bryce Harper, he wasn't even healthy to start the season, right? 2023, that was after he got the procedure. Yeah. So it was Derek Hall was your opening day starter for the Phillies, and he's not played in the big leagues since. All right, Andrew, joining us now because we have a big day tomorrow in the NHL. And, of course, every day is a big day with baseball as we are getting closer to opening day. So why not have somebody on that can talk about both because he covers both. For All in Patterson, our man Ant Sanfilippo joins us. Ant, good morning, man. How are you?
Love coming on a show with two Andrews. That's a good thing.
Look, it makes it easier for people. That's why we do it. They don't have to say which one of them is talking. You can just say Andrew's talking, and it makes things so much easier. Now, you're going to be doing the balancing act because we're going to go back and forth Phillies and Flyers with you because you cover both for On Patterson. Yeah. But let's start with the Flyers because that's more of the immediate talking point. The trade deadline is tomorrow. I have to ask you first before we start talking about players who could be out, who could be in. Do the Flyers have any belief in the back of their mind that they could still compete for the playoffs?
Depends on when you say the Flyers. Are you talking about the entire organization? You talking about who's in the locker room? I think the answer is a little bit different depending on who you're including.
Sure.
Do the players and coaches believe? They do. Do I think management believes? I think that they look at it and go, it might be nice if they made a run, but we're not going to operate like we are going to make a push for the playoffs. So I don't think you're going to see Danny Briere tomorrow make additions to try and help the team get over the hump and get into the postseason.
And I know we're a few days removed from it, but I wanted to get your impressions on what you took away from Andrew Painter's couple innings out there.
Well, look, that's a good start, right? I mean, it was only 2 innings. It was clean 2 innings. He looked good, and that's all you can hope for at this point in spring training, right? I think as we progress, I think his next start is Saturday. We'll see what that looks like. That one will probably be 3 innings. See if he can keep doing what he gave you the first couple of innings, and then he'll probably go again next Friday, and maybe that one gets up to 4. And so I think each start is going to be a progression, and I think we're going to learn a little bit more with each start. But for the first start of spring, for the first time facing some major league hitters, a few major league hitters, I think that went probably as well as you could have expected.
Look at how you went from Flyers management to Andrew Painter's Grapefruit League debut. That's how I know you are a pro.
Yeah, but absolutely. I've been doing this long enough, boys. I've been at this game for 28 years. I mean, I know what I'm doing.
Damn right you do. All right, I have 2 questions about the Flyers trade deadline. Let's start with the who you believe is as good as gone for the Flyers before tomorrow's trade deadline.
I don't have an answer of that. I don't think anybody is as good as gone. I think there are 2 guys who, in my mind, are the most possible. But I think both are 50-50 or even slightly less than 50-50 to go. And that's Rasmus Ristolainen and Bobby Brink. Now, is it possible that there's another guy like a Carl Grundstrom further down the lineup or a Garnet Hathaway? Yeah, those guys could potentially get moved too. I don't know if that moves the needle at all. But as far as trades that people would be interested in discussing, it's Ristolainen, it's Brink. And I think if I had to guess, I'd say Brink is more likely than Ristolainen. And I know that that's weird for people to hear because all that anybody's talked about for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, ever since the Olympics and how great Risto was playing in the Olympics was, the Flyers got to move Risto and get a first-round pick. When you see what's being offered for right-shot defensemen in trades from around the league, it's a 1 plus a player that's a prospect that's almost NHL ready or is NHL ready. And I don't think Danny Briere is going to accept less than that. for Ristolainen. So unless he gets that, I think he's going to hold on to him, and there's a real chance that happens. I think Brink, because you have a logjam at wing, and you look at what's coming, you have Porter Martone coming, you have a kid down on the Phantoms, Alex Bump, who's played really well, probably deserves a shot. And, oh, by the way, coming back next season, Tyson Forster, you probably need to clear a spot in the top 9 on the wing, and I think Bobby Brink is the most easily replaceable player.
All right, and so the follow-up, you say there's nobody as good as gone. Is there any potential surprise trades where the Flyers get a call, much like the A.J. Brown discussion we've been having today, where the Eagles can't say no? Is there a player where you think teams are interested in where the Flyers go, oh, wow, we can't say no to this?
Yeah, I mean, outside of the guys that I just mentioned, no. And the reason I say that is the NHL trade deadline is a little weird in the sense that rarely do guys with, like, term on their contracts get moved, other than maybe a year. Like, if you have one more year or whatever, okay, fine. But rarely guys with longer term get moved at the deadline just because it's so tricky to navigate the salary cap in season. Do I think that there are conversations about players that are taking place now that is groundwork being laid for maybe the summer? That I think is possible. And so I bring up a name like Owen Tippett in that regard. I think that with Owen Tippett has, I think it's 5 years left, maybe 6 years, $6.2 million on his contract. Like, that's a guy that you can look at and go, okay, let's have some conversations now and let's revisit it in June right before the draft, because I think that there's a possibility. They're gonna, again, like I said, they have a logjam. They're going to have to move at least 2 wingers. I think he's the next one after Bobby Brink.
And back to the Phillies, now that we're a little deeper into Grapefruit League play, do you get a sense of which player or players are front runners for one of those final roster spots?
Well, it's a good question because I think this whole, not that I thought Johan Rojas was going to make the team, but I think that the looming, if he gets suspended by Major League Baseball, that could impact the roster. Well, it will impact the roster because it will open up a 40-man spot, and the Phillies will be lacking center field depth when you really look at it. I mean, they really only have the kid Pedro Leon, who they picked up in the offseason, but he's not really a guy. Like, if Justin Crawford doesn't work out, let's say he struggles and he's not ready for Major League play, you don't really have a backup option. So I think that last player may be outside the organization right now. In camp, Brian De La Cruz has looked decent, but he's not really a center fielder. He's more of a corner guy these days. And you also have Dylan Moore, who's can't hit, but he can play 7 positions. So, you know, that versatility is important. So, like, there's that possibility as well. And then you never know. I mean, there's other guys that are injured. Like, I look at a guy like Gabriel Rincones, who a lot of people were talking about. He could be a platoon outfielder, but he's been banged up, hasn't really gotten started in camp, and I think that might set him back a little bit. So he might not have a shot at that opening day roster. So I think it's somebody who's not here right now.
All right, last thing for you, Ant. We appreciate the time as always. Sticking with the Phillies, yesterday Aaron Nola pitched against Team Canada. It was a good line. I don't necessarily care about the line. How intrigued are you by the velocity that we saw by Aaron Nola so early in the season?
Well, I think he had to. So the one thing, and I would say to everybody is, like, you know, take a pump the brakes on that just a little bit. He has to build up a little bit faster because he's pitching in the World Baseball Classic.
Okay.
For Team Italy, right? So he needed to get slightly ahead of where he would normally be at this point in camp. So it's certainly a positive, right? You obviously like to see that velocity uptick. And the way I look at Aaron Nola is this: he can't be as bad as he was last year. Like, that was the worst season of his career. The injury, of course, mixed in there. Like, he's not going to have a 6 ERA this year. Yeah, I can go out on that limb and tell you he's not going to have a 6 ERA. Is he going to get back to the guy he was before that? Nobody knows. But even if he gets back to, let's say, an ERA of, mid-4, like 4.5, that's a significant upgrade to your pitching staff over what you had a year ago. And even if that, because he's technically going to be your number 4. And if your number 4 guy is giving you, quality start, 6 innings, 3 runs, like that, he's keeping you in the game. That's good for the Phillies. And he could be better than that. But I'm just saying, like, I think that the baseline is he could at least be that. And I think he will. I think you're looking at a little bit of a bounce back season for Aaron Nola.
And appreciate the time, man. Keep up the great work, and tell that guy that you do that podcast with we said hello, okay?
Will do. I'll pass it on this afternoon.
You're the
Thanks,
man.
man.
Thanks, Ant. We appreciate the time. Ant Sanfilippo joining us here on Kincade Salciunas does the podcast with Mikey Miss.
That's
Mikey
right.
Miss.
Yeah.
All right. Let me give you another opening day lineup trivia question. Now, this one is 2 answers. I'm only asking you to get 1 correct. Chase Utley was with the Philadelphia Phillies from 2003 through the 2014 season, part of the 2015 season, then he got traded for the Dodgers. But he began as an opening day starter for the Phillies at second base in 2006. Before being traded to the Dodgers, there were 2 years where Chase Utley was injured at the start of the season, 2011 and 2012. Name me one of the 2 starting second basemen on opening day for the Phillies. So you could give me the 2011 answer, or you could give me the 2012 answer. So if you get one of those 2 right, you will be qualified, and you will be in the running for the Sixers-Bulls tickets March 25th, also the Spot and Knockout, and also the $50 gift card to Rita's Water Ice. Without saying it, do you have an idea of who those players are? I have the benefit of looking at the
Yeah, I have an idea
roster.
of one of them.
Okay. Yeah. They're great. They're great names. They're great names in Philadelphia. Do you have an idea, Sean?
I have an idea. I had an idea for one, and I looked it up to get the second one for certain. So
you cheated.
Now I know.
So you cheated.
Yeah, I cheated.
All right. See how
Way
it
to
is.
go, man.
Way to go,
If you're not
Sean.
cheating, you're not trying.
Oh my God.
Disagree.
Why don't you just tell everybody that they can cheat? All right.
I got to make sure I get the right. They have the right answers.
That's true. All right, coming up next. The return of DeCecco Deep Cuts. At 8 o'clock, I told you, coming up at 8:47, we will do DeCecco Deep Cuts. We did this every single week last year leading up to the draft. Andrew DeCecco knows the top 10 picks. He knows the first-round grades. He'll also break down Darius Cooper out of Tarleton State before he gets drafted. He'll tell you about Jalix Hunt out of Houston Christian before he gets drafted. This is your time, as Herb Brooks once said. So Andrew DeCecco will give us some DeCecco Deep Cuts next. We'll also discuss some players of note because the Eagles, even if they don't make any trades, do have a first, a second, and 2 third-round picks, and there are a lot of positions that the Eagles need to target in this draft. I believe this is a state-of-the-franchise level of importance draft for the Eagles. I know that sounds extreme, but I don't think I'm off. It's Kincade and Salciunas. DeCecco with us. Remainder of the show, 97.5 The Fanatic.
NFL free agent.
BundyLaw.com.
97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
Let me tell you something. I may give them a hard time, but they're really not that bad. At least most of the time. Now let's listen to more Kincade and Salciunas before I change my mind.
Poland from Morristown got our 2 questions ago. That was the Derek Hall first baseman. Our most recent question, if you're just tuning in, for the pair of tickets, Sixers Bulls spot and knockout, or the $50 gift card to Rita's Water Ice, as the weather will turn next week. I can't wait. We are asking you random opening day lineup trivia questions for the Phillies. And the most recent one that I gave you in Chase Utley's time, from 2006 to 2015 with the Phillies, where he was, on the opening day roster, there were 2 years he did not start opening day because of injury. And the correct answer, shout out to John from Drexel Hill for getting it right. Do you remember one of them?
Was it Placido Polanco?
No, he was playing third base those years, though.
Oh,
so
man.
He was on the roster, was opening day starter, but at third base, it was that Wilson Valdez.
Oh, yeah, the great.
And Freddie Galvis, who eventually was a opening day starter at shortstop for the Phillies. But Galvis in 2012.
By the way, Placido Polanco was an underrated player in the early 2000s.
Guy knew how to play baseball, man.
Got on base.
Hit it the other way. Hit behind runners. Love Placido Polanco. Your 2012 opening day roster was disgusting. You had Halladay, which is great. Chooch, Ty Wigginton, Freddie Galvis, Placido Polanco, Jimmy Rollins, John Mayberry, Shane Victorino, Hunter Pence. Oh, that was the end. That was the end of the run. 2012, first year they didn't make the playoffs, and that became the 10-year drought of no playoffs for the Phillies. All right. So you're the best when it comes to the draft, the deep cuts. Before we get to the Checo deep cuts for this upcoming NFL draft, who are some of the players that you are keeping very close attention to in the first or second round that most people have heard of? Obviously, we've discussed that offensive tackle is a position that they have to draft, and tight end is a position that they can't putz around with here.
Yeah, Caden Proctor from Alabama. Now, I do have a question as to how his profile, he's 6'7", 366 pounds, would fit into the expected blocking scheme and what they may covet with these run designs. We don't yet know. I think he would really thrive under Jeff Stoutland, but he's a player who I really like. Blake Miller is somebody that I've highlighted because he fits the mold of what the Eagles typically look for from a tackle. He's athletic. He has a body type that reminds me a little bit of Lane Johnson. Went to Clemson. He's more of a fluid mover, could stand to add a little bit more power and strength to his frame to anchor better. But he's someone that I definitely have highlighted if you're looking at an offensive tackle. Monroe Freeling from Georgia as well. A little bit more of a raw prospect, but again, just like Blake Miller, really athletic. And
so you're giving us Bama, Clemson, and Georgia. I love it.
I think that might be a player, that kind of prototype that they tend to look for this time around. And then if you look at tight end, Kenyon Sadiq is outstanding, but
is there
I don't
any
know.
shot?
I mean, he's not going to be there at 23.
That's what I'm
you never
saying.
want to speak in absolutes when you're talking about the draft, but he just ran a 4.39, had a 43.5-inch vertical to match his production on tape last season. He kind of reminds me of Vernon Davis, if those who are looking for a comp out there, and body type and utilization. That's a tight end who I really like in this class. And then Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt, 45.5-inch vertical leap, ran a 4.4, I believe, 40-yard dash. Was a former quarterback, just been playing the tight end position for 3 years, but a natural pass catcher, good after the catch, and I think that he really can be a receiving-centric tight end with a little bit of a blocking upside there as well. He's not quite there, but I like him a lot, and he would be
a first round or a second round?
I think more high second round.
Okay. So the Eagles could look, they're going to have the ability to move around, which we know that they don't hesitate to do that. Like if they target a guy, we saw it with Cooper DeJean a few years ago. We saw it with Jahad Campbell just last year. They moved up the one spot to acquire him. So we know the Eagles will be aggressive. And if they do trade A.J. Brown, and they acquire a pick for this upcoming draft, that means they have more capital to either move with or just to stand pat with wherever they select the player. Now, give us at least one. I know you probably have 600 of them. The Checo deep cuts that the Eagles may potentially target later in the NFL draft. Again, DeCecco has a track record here. Jalix Hunt, you were talking about before the draft. You weren't like, let me study this guy after the fact. You knew of him. You knew of Darius Cooper from a school that I didn't know existed, with all due respect to Tarleton State.
I know somebody who went there. He asked Derek Ross, went to the Kansas City Chiefs back in like 07.
And you knew of Darius Cooper before the draft. So you have a track record. You've backed it up. Who are some players, and the Eagles have actually selected those players, who are some players that you've kept an eye on that maybe people don't know as much?
Well, I'll start with Eli Heidenreich. He's a wide receiver / running back out of Navy. When you look at the Eagles roster right now, Andrew, they don't have a manufactured touch player, whereas in this offense, I think they would greatly benefit from having that. I believe that's what the Eagles probably thought they had in Aniyah Smith a couple years ago, but that obviously never panned out. But this is someone who had 77 carries, just under 500 yards. He had 51 receptions for nearly 1,000 yards. He's not explosive. He's not twitchy, but he is a fluid mover. He's dynamic in space, has a good feel for spacing. I think he would be a good day 3 type of player who can give you that versatility at either position.
He'll be one of those guys that I will remember because you talked about it, and he'll be like Cooper Kupp. Maybe not to that same level, but he's going to be a guy that's like, oh, man, that guy's consistent. Why don't we have him? Andrew DeCecco was talking about the Heidenreich before anybody else.
I'll give you an edge rusher. You talk about Jalix Hunt. I'm going to give you Nadeem Tucker out of Western Michigan. Had 14.5 sacks last season. He's a little bit on the older side. He's going to be 26 years old by training camp.
Interesting.
A late bloomer. He went to Teaneck High School in Teaneck, New Jersey, was a basketball star there. It wasn't until his senior year that he started playing football.
Wow.
So he doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires. He went to a couple of junior colleges. He went to Independence, which was featured on Last Chance U on Netflix. Then he went to Hutchinson, went to Houston for a couple of years, and then rounded out his career at Western Michigan. A shade under 6'2", about 246. Reminds me a little bit of Josh Uche. But great story, and the Eagles met with him at the Combine. They met with him twice, actually, and he raved about Clint Hurt, the Eagles' defensive line coach, who was they had the familiarity there from the Senior Bowl. So I think that's going to be really interesting. You may be a little turned off with the age, I get that, but he would be a day 3 guy that I think could give you a DPR, a designated pass rusher at the next level. And then we'll look at one more, John Michael Gillenborg from Wyoming. From Wyoming. He's a tight end. He helped himself at the Combine, about 6'5", 250. Not necessarily a route running technician, but he's good after the catch. He runs a 4.6. He had a 10.8 broad jump, so those numbers sort of impressed me a little bit because I wasn't expecting that. And his numbers in college, 80 receptions, just over 1,000 yards, aren't going to jump off the page. So he's more of a pass catcher right now that needs a little bit more polish, but that's what those day 3 dart throws are for. Yeah. And I think he's best suited to be a 2 or a 3 tight end at the next level, but he's an athletic move tight end as well.
I've never seen him so happy.
We'll get into some 2 Toledo defensive backs.
Yeah,
Andre Fuller.
You could keep going. You're like, screw the commercial break, man. I want to give you more deep cut.
I lost track.
Dude,
okay.
No, you're the best. I love it.
Avery Smith out of Toledo. He's more in the nickel corner mold. And then you have Andre Fuller, 6'1", 200 pounds. Talked at length how much Quinyon Mitchell helped him prepare for last season, then get ready for this process.
That's awesome, man. Well, are you gonna give me 5 next week? I need 5.
We're gonna run through the whole draft. Yeah,
love that. All right, coming up next, you'll hear the little produced reset of the show. What we started the show off with this morning, way back at the 6 o'clock hour. Also, yesterday I asked Adam Schefter what the market is for Eagles hitting free agency. Andrew DeCecco will tell us what he is reading in the tea leaves. Dallas Goedert, Jalen Phillips, Nakobe Dean, Reed Blankenship, any interest in Trey Hendrickson? We'll get into that coming up next, and more of these random opening day trivia questions for your chance to win a spot in Knockout coming up March 25th. It's Kincade and Salciunas. Johnny out on vacation. DeCecco in today, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Sixers bounce back. I'm Sean Rodman after a blowout loss the other night. The depleted Sixers beat the Utah Jazz last night. Maxey led the way with 25, and Jabari Walker off the bench had 22. The Sixers were without Embiid, Oubre, and Edgecombe. Sixers are back in action Saturday night in Atlanta. Yesterday, it was reported that the Eagles are asking for a first-round pick and more. Bleacher Report's James Palmer joined Middays with Marks yesterday on what he believes teams are willing to send the Eagles in a trade.
I think those teams are all trying not to give up a first-round pick for AJ. I mean, you could look at a comp of when Stephon Diggs went to Houston, in all honesty. I think that was like a second. And there were some other things that were exchanged.
Jhoan Duran made his spring debut yesterday for the Phillies against Team Canada. He pitched a scoreless inning with 1 strikeout. The Flyers are back in action tonight at home against the Utah Mammoth. You can listen to the game right here on the Fanatic. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:30. And Andrew Checo's with us until the end of the show. This update is brought to you by Staples. From posters and presentations to labels and loyalty cards, Staples has all the print to boost your brand. Shop now in store, or you can shop online. Staples, that was easy. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
We know you want to hear more.
Saying that they're going to get it, but they're asking for the Quinnen Williams type package.
to the show.
All right, that's the little reset out today. A.J. Brown, of course. The latest nugget from Mike Garafolo yesterday, Quinnen Williams type package, where the New York Jets acquired the 2026 second-round pick from the Dallas Cowboys and a 2027 first-round pick. That happened in season. So I don't know if it would be the same during this offseason. And we have a Twitter poll running. Is it still up and still strong, Mr. Rodman?
Yes, it is.
And, of course, it is thanks to our friends at Iron Mountain Men's Health, Dr. Avidan Appel. What have we got on the Twitter poll today that's been going strong since the 6 o'clock hour?
Leading the way still, and not much has changed since the last time we checked in at 40%. A first-round pick and second-round pick in various years at 40%. In second place, not trading A.J. Brown at 30%. A first and a fourth at 18%, and then a second and a third at 12%.
And in case people are wondering, this is the trade package you can't say no to, right? Because I believe still, without running any Twitter polls, without doing any call, text, you name it, that the majority of Eagles fans want A.J. Brown back. It's why there's so much anger that we even talk about it at times, because they want him back. I'm with you. But I am also human. And if a team called and said, hey, we're going to give you a first and a second, how do I say no to that? And so the options, Sean mentioned first and second, various years. We just threw it out, 2026 first-round pick, 2027 second-round pick. The other draft capital that you heard were both this year. So 26 first, fourth, 26 second, third. Do you have a hang-up out of any of those three? To me, if it doesn't start with a 1, I've made the joke a few times. I would say, oh, can you please call this number? Because Howie's on his cell, and it would be the landline. And then Howie would pick up the landline just to hang it up so that they can actually hear the clicking of the phone. Like, if it starts with 2, I'm out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I would have to imagine that would be the same for the Eagles. Even the further you get down the road here, I still don't see them going, all right, you got me.
Yeah.
You know, it would have to be something like a first-round pick, and I would want something else to sweeten that deal, whether it's a top 100 pick or just, you know, a second-round pick even. Other than that, there's no way that I'm moving off of one of the top receivers in football, knowing the impact that he can have on that offense. And if you're Sean Mannion and you're going to sort of reimagine this passing game, which I think the running game is going to be far more reimagined than the passing game. You're going to see different route concepts and things like that, some maneuvering there. But if you can get A.J. Brown on board, you're going to be able to really make that work and see some high-end returns. So right. I think you want to keep him there.
Let me get your updated feel. Because last week, after you returned from the combine and you talked to a lot of people, you were like, yeah, it was like your first time where you were thinking this could happen. Where are you at March 5th, 2026, the leaning one way or the other?
51% that he's not here.
Okay, so you're still slight majority that he's traded.
Yeah, because I just get the sense other teams, if you feel you're an A.J. Brown away from being a Super Bowl contender, you saw what the Patriots were able to do without having a top receiver. They no longer have Stephon Diggs. Maybe they throw a Hail Mary out later down the line if they get a little desperate or they go a different way in the draft.
Especially at 31.
Yes, and a lot of it also goes back, and the Ravens and the Bills are other teams who are arguably an A.J. Brown away from being in that conversation as well. And so I think you also have to look at it and say, what does A.J. want? What does A.J. feel is in the best interest for him and his career? Does he think he will be a focal point here? Will the production be consistent? How can you convince him that this offense is going to help his career advance and be able to fulfill his wants and desires? So there's a lot of questions to ask here, but I do get the sense that it might just take one team that you get a month or two removed, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, you got me.
Now that would not benefit the Eagles in this draft, but it would benefit the Eagles for the dead cap money, because if it's post June 1st, it gets spread out over 2 years, right? The dead cap hit. I would rather deal with the dead cap hit if it means this draft, because I think this draft is so important for the Eagles. As I said earlier in the show, you just heard in the reset, and you said it was a little strong, and that's fine.
A little bit, but it is important.
I believe this is a state of the franchise important draft for the Eagles. And I've not been saying that over the years. The last couple of years, I'm like, all right, yeah, add here, add there. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, sure, let's see how it goes. This draft, I go, all right, if they don't hit, because we're talking right tackle, tight end, hell, we'll get to other positions when I have you read the tea leaves. Safety, wide receiver,
edge.
That's 5 positions. And cornerback, we've talked about, you think maybe you hit the free agent market for a cheaper player, but that's 6 positions where you're going, oh, man, I start to look around, and that spot's open, that spot could be open next year, so
also,
I need to start planning for that.
Also, backup running back.
Yeah.
Backup quarterback as well. They like to have those cost-controlled options.
McKee gets traded. There's a lot of out of nowhere, oh, boy, the Eagles have a laundry list of things that they have to do. All right, before I ask you some of the tea leaves that you're reading for some of the players hitting free agency, Matt in New Hampshire wants to talk about the A.J. Brown discussion. What's up, Matt?
Hey, how's it going? I'm just wondering if, since the Patriots have the 31st pick, if that's something you'd still do. I'm a Patriots fan, so I think the Patriots are now in a kind of a cycle where we're willing to have those one-off wide receivers, see if it doesn't last, more than a year. They just did it with Diggs. I want to see if there's anything else you'd want from the Patriots too.
Yeah, I mean, the first is where we're starting, right? Like that's a must need to have that 31st overall pick in the package. What else are you willing to offer? And that's how the conversation would continue.
Awesome. Yeah, makes sense to me. It's kind of what we're talking about up here, but I'll hang up and listen. Let me know if there's any other player you want in the Patriots, because I think we're pretty much clamoring for him up here. So,
well, I think the Eagles would love a Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, let's do that. Look, the one is the starting point for me personally, for you personally, and according to every reporter that's talked about it, the Eagles, right? The Eagles. Albert Breer earlier in the week was a first and a second pick within the top 100. Not another first. I don't think they're asking for 2 first-round picks, but a first and another pick in the top 100, which could mean this year, could mean next year. It doesn't have to be this season, just like the Quinnen Williams trade. But that's where it starts. It's if you're not willing to offer me a 1, the phone is getting hung up.
I mean, you have to give up something to get something. And it's not just any player. It's a game changer. It's somebody who can alter the complexion of your offense and help take you to the next level if you're one of those teams who are a piece or 2 away.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's do the tea leaves here, because you've been following this every situation closely. First, I want to start with one of your favorites, Nakobe Dean. Good is gone?
Yeah, it's hard for me to see a path for him returning to Philadelphia, as much as he's meant to this organization, as much as he's meant to that defense. Vic Fangio loves him. I think if you're Nakobe and you have a chance to get paid, go get the bag, right? And I look at a team like the Dallas Cowboys, and I think I may have been talking to you guys about that.
Yeah.
He would be a really good fit there. I listened to Christian Parker's press conference twice about what he had to say, and he said it all starts up front, affecting the quarterback and stopping the run.
Listened to it twice.
I was very impressed.
You were breaking it down, man.
I was really impressed. I took a lot of notes, but I'm not surprised. I think he's really going to start to alter that defense, get players in there like a Nakobe Dean who can be culture setters, who are going to be fundamentally sound and communicate and play smart football. And so I look at a team like that. That's just one of multiple teams, but it's an example. And for those reasons, I don't see him back.
By the way, a topic that we had earlier in the show. Do we have any questions or any texts on this, Sean? I know you're getting flooded by the opening day starter stuff, but one of the topics I brought up earlier this morning, and you will absolve yourself from said conversation because of what you do for a living, Andrew. But if Nakobe Dean did leave for Dallas, I was curious to see what people's reactions would be. Because back in 2010, December 5th, 2010, Jason Worth became an enemy of the city of Philadelphia because he signed a deal that the Phillies were not going to give him, and he went to a division rival in the Washington Nationals. The Washington Nationals are like the size of a pea compared to what the level of hatred people have for the Dallas Cowboys. And my question was, what would your reaction be with Nakobe Dean, who is a very likable player in this city, goes to the Dallas Cowboys? To me, my reaction would be just as it was when Jason Worth signed with the Nationals when I was 16. So, like, I was a young punk. You would think I would have gone to the stadium and, boo, you suck. I said, wow, that's awesome, man. Good for you. You got the contract. I hope you stink. So if Nakobe Dean signs with the Dallas Cowboys, my reaction would be, congratulations on the money that you got because you weren't going to get it here, but I hope you fail. And I know that Nick Sirianni at his press conference, I think it was the one in Indianapolis, was asked about Christian Parker, and he was like, yeah, I really respect him. Hope he does really well, except for twice a year. No, my answer would be, I hope he stinks. Because if he stinks, that means the Dallas Cowboys don't play well, and that means I don't have to worry about them in the division. I know you will look at things totally different than I do.
I hope Nakobe thrives wherever he goes.
I know. I don't. I hope he stinks if it's the Dallas Cowboys. If he goes to, he wants to go to the Raiders.
Like, I hope Christian Parker thrives.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
You have a totally different role and mindset on fandom. So, Sean, what are people saying on that discussion? Because I had a guy earlier today call me a moron for even thinking about this discussion. And then our first texter said if God played for the Cowboys, I'd become an atheist. So to the guy that called me a moron, no, there are people out there that hate the Cowboys so much that even your favorite player that goes to Dallas would drive you nuts. What do we got on the text line?
Yeah, most people are still on the other side with you there, Andrew, saying that if Dean goes to Dallas, I'll be mad, but I'm not going to be rooting for him anymore and not going to be rooting for him when he's again, not even whether it's the Eagles or not.
Yeah, well, look, if he goes to a team that I don't doesn't bother me, go for it, man. I'd be like T.J. Edwards when he went to the Chicago Bears. I rooted for T.J. Edwards because the
undrafted free agent,
Eagles
player.
didn't pay him. The Bears weren't really a threat, and so I was like, all right, go T.J. Edwards. If Nakobe Dean goes to the Bears now, where they're a legitimate threat, then maybe we have a different conversation. But if he goes to the Cowboys, that's totally different. A, it's your hated rival. And B, the Dallas Cowboys could potentially be your biggest threat in the NFC East this year.
If once they get that defense corrected,
right,
however long it takes, whether it's a year or two, they're going to be a well-rounded team. Their offense is already supercharged.
And that's why I would not root for him to succeed, but my viewpoint on sports is a lot different than yours. All right, let's go through other tea leaves. Jalen Phillips, is he a Philadelphia Eagle in 2026? What do you read in the tea leaves?
He's going to be their priority, and he should be. They gave up a third-round pick to get him. He's a good fit for Vic Fangio's defense. Vic really values what he brings to the table. They also only have 2 edge rushers under contract, and Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt. So they're going to make sure that they do everything that they can to try to keep him in the building. Now, will there be a walkaway price? I would imagine there would be.
Sure.
I don't know if you can go north of $25 million, let's say. I'm just throwing that number out there because of the injury history. He had the Achilles. He had the ACL in his career. He'll be 27 years old coming up here. I think you do whatever you can to make sure that he remains an Eagle for the foreseeable future, not only for those reasons, because of his impact, but it checks off the importance of having to address that earlier in the draft, and then you're kind of able to operate a little bit more freely. But I do think that he'll be a player that they try to keep. And I have a hard time pinning down what he's going to command per year because of the injuries. But with free agency, traditionally, Andrew, as you know, the price always tends to go up.
He's a young player too, which that helps him a little bit too.
He's I believe the top 3 rated free agent in this class.
Yeah, I think it's changed with Hendrickson, but his age plays a factor, and we'll get to Hendrickson in a second. But Dallas Goedert. Now, the interesting nugget from Jake Rosenberg and Jeff McClain this week was that $20 million dead cap hit if he just signed elsewhere. Do you believe the Eagles would be more intrigued to sign Dallas Goedert to avoid that, maybe pay extra money to avoid that, or do you think he's going to get the contract that he was looking for last year with another team?
Well, if you remember, when we were talking about free agents, I was under the impression that the Eagles were going to make a push to keep Dallas Goedert, and that I believe that they should, given the need at the position and everything that he's meant to the organization over, almost a decade, right? But then I was at the Combine, and it's impossible not to think of a world where they didn't want to pay him. They met him in the middle there with $10 million last year.
Yeah.
He just had a career season at 31 years old. If you're the Eagles, are you going to be willing to dole out more money to keep him in the building when he's a year older? He did stay healthy last year. I think he just missed week 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think this is Dallas Goedert's opportunity to go out there and cash in for what's been a very productive career that's been sort of riddled with some unfortunate injuries along the way. But he performed as an elite tight end last year, and I believe that he should be compensated for that, and I believe there will be a team who does so.
Wow. Blankenship, because Blankenship's kind of been back and forth. Like at one point I thought they're not going to bring him back, and I forget who it was that we talked to earlier this week that leans toward Reed Blankenship coming back. It might have been Schefter. Yeah, I think it was Schefter yesterday that was like, he was a leader of that team. And
yeah, it's tough to walk away from a defensive captain, homegrown player, undrafted player, started over 50 games for the franchise.
Uncertainty at that position.
Drew, let's not forget, Drew Makuba had a fractured ankle in late November against the Cowboys. He's coming back, but Sidney Brown hasn't been a schematic fit for Vic Fangio.
No.
There's just not a lot of. I mean, Michael Carter is a player who's owed $8.7 million, I believe. He can play nickel, he can play safety, but certainly not at that cost.
Right.
So they'll have to make a decision there, and then you have other guys like who are younger, like Andre Sam and so on. But I think for those reasons, because of the uncertainty, because if you look at the free agent safeties, I'm not overly enamored. Maybe there's a Geno Stone out there who makes some sense. But some of those guys, like Kobe Bryant from the Seattle Seahawks, he just won a Super Bowl. He's a young player.
Yeah.
He's going to command a lot of money. Reed I think he's projected at 7.1. If that's the case, if that number holds true or thereabouts, yeah, I think the Eagles should be all in.
Okay. Lastly, a guy that's not on the Eagles, but did not get the franchise tag from the Cincinnati Bengals, a player that we talked about a lot last year, was Trey Hendrickson, and whether or not any team should have traded for Trey Hendrickson. It wasn't just the Eagles, and the Bengals were, asking for the whole world, kind of like what the Eagles are doing with A.J. Brown right now. He is now a free agent. Do you believe the Eagles will express interest, and legit interest? I know the talking point. Well, it's Howie. He's going to make a call. Do you think the Eagles will express legit interest for the 31-year-old edge rusher who had a down year?
I don't know if they'll be. He might be a little bit priced out of their range.
Okay.
I think Jalen Phillips will be the priority. You may have to explore the trade market if you're not able to keep Jalen Phillips in the building and fill out the roster that way. But I think that might be a little rich for what I'm expecting the Eagles to spend this offseason. They have, however, proven that they are a team who will invest heavily if it's the right position, if it's a position of value, which edge rusher, offensive line, those are all positions of value. Even still, given the age, it's hard for me to see that.
Okay. All right. Thank you for all the tea leaves that you read there. We appreciate it. All right. Let's give another opening day random trivia question, lineup edition for the Phillies. Do I go obscure or do I make one a little bit easier? Let's make one a little bit easier for you. All right. Actually, no. Screw you guys. Alec Boehm has been the opening day starting third baseman for 4 out of the last 5 years. He, however, was not the opening day starting third baseman in 2022. Who was it?
Wes Helms. No.
Text in the answer, 610-632-0975. The answer that you believe is accurate. Who was the starting third baseman on opening day for the Phillies in 2022? It was not Alec Boehm, who was the starting third baseman the year prior and 3 years after that. We'll randomly select one person who gets it right to be in the running for the Sixers-Bulls tickets, spot and knockout, also the $50 gift card to Rita's. All right, coming up next, we'll check our text line. Somebody has a deep cut that they want to ask the Checo about. Sean told him the name during our last break, and I've never seen you smile more. You were so proud of this texter. So Andrew will talk about that Checo deep cut. But also, I got angry this morning, and I knew this would happen. We, as fans, are going to be used, and we will be the ones that get dealt crap regardless of where this goes. An update on the 2027 MLB season and potential lockout next here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The injury-riddled Sixers win late. I'm Sean Rodman, and the Sixers won 106-102 thanks to some late free throws from Quentin Grimes and Jabari Walker. Maxey led the way as the only regular starter on the court with 25 points. Jabari Walker had 22 off the bench. Sixers are back in action Saturday night in Atlanta. Yesterday it was reported the Eagles are asking for a first-round pick and more for A.J. Brown. ESPN's Adam Schefter joined us yesterday morning and told us how those A.J. Brown talks are going.
They're certainly not making it easy, and they certainly don't seem like they're willing to move him. And if I had to bet $1 today, I'd say he's more likely to be there than not. Teams keep calling. Teams are being told the price is high.
Johan Duran made his spring debut yesterday against Team Canada for the Phillies. He pitched a scoreless inning with 1 strikeout. Flyers are back in action tonight at home against the Utah Mammoth. You can listen to the game right here on The Fanatic. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:30. And it is the team's final game before the NHL trade deadline tomorrow at 3 p.m. This update is brought to you by TireRack.com. Rain or shine, drive with confidence on Vredestein tires from Tire Rack. Vredestein tires deliver precision, handling dependable traction, and quiet comfort, shipped fast and free. 2 years of 2 years of free road hazard protection. TireRack.com. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
That's LundyLaw.com.
97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
All right, the sports talk doesn't stop with these guys. Make sure you tune in Middays with Marks. You guessed it with me, John Marks. That's coming up at 10 o'clock. Let's get back to more of Kincade and Salciunas right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Don't worry, Robin. 9 o'clock hour brought to us by the Bagster.
The final hour of Kincade and Salciunas is presented to you by the Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. Wow. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. You need details? Go to Bagster.com.
You know, you do the show every single day. You start picking up on some things. By the way, shout out to YouTube, even if they aren't totally trying at this point of the show. Some answers on who was the starting third baseman in 2022. I saw Charlie Hayes, Tomas Perez, Mark Whitten,
Tomas Perez,
Don Carmen. Didi Gregorius was an opening day starter in 2022, but not at third base. Do we have somebody that got the answer correct, Sean?
We do. We have Matt from Newtown as our next qualifier.
All right, so Matt from Newtown got the answer right. What we're doing today, random opening day lineup trivia for the Phillies. In 2022, Sean and DeCecco forgot it. I reminded them the whole background. Bryson Stott was the opening day starter at third base in 2022 because right before the season started, Alec Boehm didn't make the big league club. He was with the AAA team.
That's what I forgot.
And they were trying to trade. This is one of the 6 times they tried trading him. Wonder why there's nobody out there that's trying to get him because Dave Dombrowski operates.
They were trying to trade him all those years ago, and he's still here.
And he's still the cleanup hitter too, which is amazing. Alec Boehm, they were trying to move on from him, and then there was an injury. I forget who got hurt. He got called up, and then he ends up playing third base. And look, we know what happened in 2022. Alec Boehm, for as much as I can complain about the guy being 6'5" and hitting singles, he was the one that got hit by the pitch. Ryan Helsley on the St. Louis Cardinals. He was with the Cardinals at the time. That kind of got that ball rolling in that 9th inning, and then he became freaking Brooks Robinson at third base, like with his glove. No, that series is only 2 games because it's a wild card round. He outfielded Nolan Arenado.
Yeah,
Arenado was a Platinum Glove winner at third base, and Alec Boehm had a better series defensively than Nolan Arenado, and it just changed everything. And
but then he had the comment last postseason that he got a little tight.
Yeah, he admitted it. 2023,
can't do that,
he was a disaster in that series against the D-backs. But Alec Boehm, the 1 year Alec Boehm has not been the opening day starter at third base since 2021. It was Bryson Stott in 2022. All right. Did you see, Andrew, what the MLB Players Association leader had to say about a recent fan poll?
I did not see the latest
salary cut.
No.
Okay. So we all know the negotiations, or probably lack thereof, will be going on throughout 2026. So The Athletic recently polled MLB fans about whether or not they want a salary cap in Major League Baseball. And 68% of people said yes. They want a salary cap. And more importantly, I think for people, a salary floor, because you have teams that just don't give a crap.
Right.
Like they don't care. And we talked about this last week. It was a day when Amy was in. So just to let you know, John Heyman doing some, digging and talking to some people, the estimated salary floor is $140 million. The cap was below 300, so there's 5 teams, including the Phillies, that would have to get below the cap. They wouldn't make them do it in year 1. It's going to be some sort of weird grandfather clause with some of the contracts. But a team like the Marlins would have to literally double their payroll. They're a $70 million payroll this year. That's embarrassing. And the floor projected will be $140 million. And there were like 10 other teams that would have to go over the floor. Not as egregiously as the Miami Marlins, but there are some teams that are well below that floor. And so the Athletic put that together, and it was 68% saying yes, that they want it. And this is how I knew this would go down. And I said it a couple weeks ago, and I will remind you what I said. The people that will get the worst of this will be the fans. Fans want baseball. Fans don't care how much certain players are getting paid, right? Like, we don't care. We want to be able to turn on the TV and watch a ball game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 6:45, whatever the start times are these days. People just want to watch baseball, and they're going to start using us as why we should or shouldn't do certain things. So the Bruce Meyer is the interim executive director for the Players Association because the other guy left because of potential circumstances behind scenes with in-laws. Quote from Bruce Meyer: "There are also a lot of fans who think their owners should just sell their teams. And for some reason, they don't seem to want to do that. We're very cognizant of the fans and actually think a salary cap system is worse for the fans because it basically prevents teams that want to make their team better from doing so. It basically is an ultimate restriction on competition and the ability of teams to do what they think is best to build the team for the fans." First off, take fans out of your mouth, dude. Like, don't say, oh, this is for the fans that we want to do this. Explain to me how teams won't be able to try to make their team better just because you add a salary cap or a salary floor. Sure.
It puts more strategy in it.
The Dodgers may not be able to sign everybody in the world, but if you're a Marlins fan and you're hearing the interim executive of the Players Association saying, oh, that wouldn't benefit you, I'd say, screw you, dude. My team literally doesn't spend money. My team is $70 million below this projected floor that you're talking about. And you're trying to tell me it wouldn't make the Marlins try a little bit harder?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a necessary evil. They have to do it to level the playing field and really just better the sport. But, I mean, that comment that you just said, it came off as, condescending the way that they worded it.
Yeah, like, don't say, oh, this is for the fan. And they're going to act like we don't know what we're talking about. Here are the teams that are
a little patronizing, I guess.
Here are the teams that are under the $140 million floor, if that's what it ends up being. Let's just go off of that, the projection from John Heyman. Athletics, Brewers, Pirates, Cardinals, Twins, Rockies, Rays, Nationals, White Sox, Guardians, Marlins. That's 11 teams. 11 teams are under that floor. Let's talk about the teams that have been irrelevant, all right? Athletics. They will eventually be relevant because they're moving to Vegas. Milwaukee is a relevant team, but they never buy. They never spend more money, so they get hot for a year, and then they disappear. Pittsburgh's only relevant because of one player, and they're already talking about potentially trading him. The Cardinals, I don't worry about. The Cardinals, they're a successful franchise. They'll get back there. When have the Twins been relevant? Joe Mauer hitting 400 and being on the cover of baseball games?
Not since Little Big League.
That's what I'm talking. That's a good pull. The Rockies, their biggest excitement right now is Mickey Moniak. The Tampa Bay Rays are a good baseball team, but what always happens? They only try to win based off of the play. They have a great scouting department. And then, this guy's really good, but we can't pay him. The Nationals, they've been competitive in the past. The White Sox are irrelevant. And the Marlins, nobody talks about them as a relevant team. The Guardians are the only team that somehow are always cheap and pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. And they're the second lowest payroll. So when I hear this executive, look, I don't, however this plays out, it plays out. Like, I don't care. Like, do I want teams to be more competitive like a lot of those teams I just mentioned? Sure, I want that.
It's better for the sport.
It is better for the sport. But what is best for the sport is you playing the freaking sport.
Yeah.
Like, baseball finally got back into the good graces of a lot of people. I was the loser that, was still locked in, right? A lot of people started to fall in love back with baseball because some of the rule changes that have happened, they're finally not doing the whole, don't bat flip. Like, they're actually allowing people to show their personalities that, this is the old way of doing it. That's out the window. I love that. I appreciate that. I think it's good for younger players to get excited, or younger fans to get excited about it. Gambling's obviously a big part of it as well. But just like the WNBA, I've talked about this here and nationally on ESPN, that's another league that just kind of started building a little bit. If they have a lockout, you're stupid. Like, I know you're trying to get the most out of it, and I totally get it, but your league just started getting interest.
Right.
Baseball just started getting more interest. Do you think a lockout's going to help you?
No.
It's going to hurt you. And so I get it. These guys are going to try to dig their feet in and do what's best, but don't say, oh, this is better for the fans or this is better for the fans. What's best for the fans is you guys freaking play.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I respect that. Yeah. They issued a patronizing type of comment. Don't be misled.
Don't tie me in. This is like not to get personal for people. It's like mom and dad divorcing.
I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night.
Yeah, damn right, man. Damn right. All right. You have a DeCecco deep cut text.
Yes.
And Andrew smile, dude, the smile that you had, and you were so proud of this texter. What do we got?
This is Mason from Mount Union. He says, I think they could get Sam Rauch later in the draft. Rauch is a great blocker, not a stiff route runner, and can break some tackles.
Mason, that is a phenomenal text. Sam Rauch is one of my favorite tight end prospects in this draft class. I wouldn't classify him purely as a pass catcher. He can do that. He kind of has a body type that reminds me of Tucker Kraft. You watch him play, and he runs with such physicality. It usually takes 2 or 3 defenders to bring him down.
Yeah.
I think he ran a 4.7 at the NFL Scouting Combine. But I think what should be most appealing is that he offers a blocking element. This is a tough, tenacious, nasty inline blocker. And when you look at the Eagles' tight end room last season, what do they all have in common? They were receiving-centric. And I think you're going to see them assemble it with a little bit more balance this year and getting that blocking tight end. He can do both, and you could probably get him in the 4th round. I think that's a good text. And if you're not familiar with Sam Rauch out of Stanford, go check him out. About 6'6", 260 pounds, and plays with physicality. I think he had a great quote that he said that they had a quote in their locker room where it said something about the greatest feeling is moving another person against his will from point A to point B.
That's a great sign.
And his tight end coach was Nate Byam, who was a former NFL tight end who was a blocking specialist. He talked about how he really mastered that area of his game because I asked him about that part. And I think he would be a good addition to a tight end room that's going to have a little bit more variety in terms of skill set.
Damn right. I do that. How about that? Mason made you smile. All right, let me give you one more question. This will be our last one of the day, random opening day trivia. Andrew Ellis, I apologize. He goes, Chunas, we're trying to forget some of these starters' names that you keep bringing up. Isn't the climate bad enough right now? All right, I will give you probably one of the worst years then to end it. In 2014, I will give you your opening day starting lineup except for one spot because they randomly started in Texas. So they randomly opened the season in 2014 against an American League team. Chooch was behind the dish. Ryan Howard, post-injury, was at first base. Chase Utley was at second. Cody Ashe was your starting third baseman.
Ooh.
Jimmy Rollins, final year at the Phillies, at shortstop. How about that Tony Gwynn was in left field for the Phillies? Ben Revere was in center. And Marlon Byrd was in right, and your starting pitcher was Cliff Lee. So that was your 2014 opening day lineup. But because they started the season against an American League team on the road, they had a DH. Who was the DH that was the opening day starting DH for the Phillies in 2014? You get that one right, you'll also be in the running, 610-632-0975. We will announce our winners of the $50 Rita's gift card. Next, also the pair of tickets for the Sixers-Bulls game and, of course, the spot in Knockout. So the winners will be announced next. And I also have a douche move or not question for you that involves me. It's Kincade and Salciunas, Andrew in studio, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The World's Baseball Classic.
details.
This is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
It is 9:47 here on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. Kevin Cook, our latest qualifier, let him cook for getting Dominic Brown.
Yep.
The 2014 opening day DH for the Phillies because they randomly opened a season in Texas against the Rangers. They won 14-10 that day. And if you remember, we talked about that game in 2025. The reason why was because the Phillies had not won a game in Texas since then.
Were you duped by Dominic Brown? Because
Nope.
I was.
Nope. I was at the games with my father. My dad and I did the 17 game plan. And I said, Dad, that swing, man, the loop.
Yeah, it was weird.
And it's I feel bad because he's gonna catch a stray here. A lot of people thought Brandon Marsh was good because of a home run that he hit off Charlie Morton in the playoffs. If you remember that at bat, Charlie Morton threw 2 fastballs up in the zone, and because of his swing trajectory, he missed. And then for whatever reason, that idiot threw a curveball right in his swing path, and he hit a home run. And it was a major home run. Like, I'm not discrediting the home run.
Sure.
But that was Don Brown. Once pitchers started throwing up in the zone, he couldn't touch it. They were throwing him fastballs like just over the middle of the plate, and he was crushing them. And you can't take that away from him. Like,
he still did that, yeah.
it's like Derek Hall. We talked about Derek Hall earlier. You can't take away the home runs that he hit against only the Nationals and right-handed pitching. That's all he did. Can't take it away. But
it still happened, yeah.
As soon as teams figured out, oh, okay, this guy can't literally touch left-handed pitching. And that's what happened to Dominic Brown. They started throwing up in the zone. He couldn't touch it. One random story about Don Brown. I was in Manayunk. The first place that my wife and I we were just dating at the time, living in sin. I had Comcast internet and TV, and like channel 57 was like the Lehigh channel.
Okay.
And I was like, there's an Iron Pigs game on. I'm going to put it on. Why not? And Don Brown was pitching for the opposing team.
Wow.
He did a last-ditch effort trying to pitch, kind of like what Joey Gallo. Isn't Joey Gallo doing that? I think Joey Gallo is trying to pitch in Major League Baseball. We'll see how that works out for him. But, yeah, that's a very, very random Dominic Brown story. Okay, so we have our winners. Sean, can you just ask which one was the Ritas and which one was the knockout?
The first one was our knockout.
Okay, so congratulations to Robert from New Jersey. Robert is the winner of the Sixers tickets and also the spot and knockout. We've been giving away a pair every single day this week. We will continue tomorrow. So Robert from New Jersey, congratulations to you. You'll see the Sixers at the Xfinity Mobile Arena on March 25th, and you'll have a spot and knockout. Yesterday at McCloskey's in Ardmore, where I had my event, the woman that won, her birthday is March 25th. We didn't do that on purpose. Did a random drawing, and her birthday was on March 25th, so that's really cool.
Nice.
We also have Eric from Morristown, who is the winner of our $50 gift card to Rita's. Rita's Water Ice, going to be a great time to check that out next week when the weather gets nicer. So today's contest was random opening day trivia with the Philadelphia Phillies. All right, I have an Eagles-related question and then douche move or not question. My man Kevin Service checks in. And it's an interesting question because I think Connor and I talked about this earlier this week, but you're the true football guy here. He asks, should we worry about, quote-unquote, good fit in Vic's system, considering Fangio could be gone after this year?
It depends. Do you need that player to help you this year? Because, yeah, you should worry about that. And the Eagles, whether it was Jonathan Gannon or Sean Desai, they've proven that they have an affinity for that system.
Sure.
And now they have the architect of that system, so it's a little different. But yeah, I think if the last few years were any indication, it seems like that's a system that they feel confident moving forward in, and so it would serve them well to add a player who fits within that system for the foreseeable future.
Okay. All right, fair enough. By the way, Tristan Homan checks in. As a baseball fan, he too is offended by the "it's for the fans" comment. It's the MLB Players Association trying to say salary cap's bad for the fans. Like, screw you. I don't know what's good or what's bad for the state of baseball. I think I have an idea. I think at least a floor is a good idea for baseball. But to say, oh, no, this isn't – what's better for the fans is this. Like, keep us out of it. Just play baseball. I want to see a baseball game in March of 2027. And I'm worried that we're not going to get that. And that's going to be a freaking bummer. All right, douche move or not. Yesterday, I was exiting the gym. And I held the door open. And this dude did not say thank you. Now, I'm not asking if he pulled the douche move or not, because to me, you don't say thank you, you're a douche. Hi, Jen Scordo. Was the douche move on my part for saying, you're welcome, bro?
No, because I do that. Well, I mean, I guess if it is, then I'm in the same category. But sometimes if I hold the door for someone and they just kind of walk through entitled, like you're supposed to hold that for me, I'll turn around. I'll just say, anytime, man. Happy to do it.
Like,
hope you're having a great day.
I could have just let it go. I could have not said anything. But if I open the door and stand there, and it was like there was one person walking in, so it was the appropriate distance. You know, there's sometimes the too far distance. You're like, do I hold this door or not?
Yeah, it's an awkward distance where you have to make a,
She was appropriate distance, so I held the door open for her, and then there was a person behind her, once more appropriate distance, and I waited for him. And he did not say thank you. And so I dropped the, you're welcome, bro.
Yeah. I mean, look, one of my biggest pet peeves is entitlement, and that reeks of entitlement.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. By the way, Fran Kern wants to know if I'm wearing a heavy slime shirt. No, I'm wearing. I don't know if I showed it earlier. I love this shirt. I got it from my friends at Corona yesterday. Sixers shirt, got a couple Corona bottles on it. It says, here they come on it. It's obviously one of the Sixers. I love this shirt. I scooped it yesterday. I was supposed to give it to a lucky fan, but I said, you know what? I'm that lucky fan tonight. I'm going to take that shirt home. Just kidding. We have like 600 of them, so I took one. By the way, everybody in the YouTube chat, team us about saying thank you outwardly.
I mean, and I say it in a nice way. Anytime. And sometimes all of a sudden that you're hitting the reset button, you're recalibrating. They're like, oh, thank you. I'm like, you're welcome. I'm very big on respect and manners.
Yeah, just show respect to people. All right. We have Middays with Marks coming up next. Ray Dunn will be producing the show. Sean Brace, I believe, is in the building today. I have not gone out there. Sean Rodman, is Sean Brace in the building today?
Yes, he is. No fur coat, though.
All right. We have to ask him if he would wear the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander coat, because I think you were right when you said if there was anybody at the Fanatic that would wear it, it would be Sean Brace. The other thing, I put out a tweet the other day. Sean Brace needs to work on the lighting on the podcast that he does from his house. This dude looked like he had a black eye and like just bruising all on his face. And for the first 15 seconds of the video, I was watching concerned.
Well, you can tell him that in 2 minutes when he comes in here.
I'm glad that he's okay. That's all. All right. Everybody have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much, Andrew, for coming in.
You got it, man.
Appreciate it. It was a fun day today. 2 football guys, 2 Andrews just hanging out for a couple of hours. One more day without Giant of the K. John will be back on Monday, as will Connor Thomas. But tomorrow, Sean, you and I hold him down the fort. It will be a Friday, Amy Friday. Fadul's with Friday. Fridays with Fadul. She'll be in from 8 to 10 tomorrow. Everybody have a great day. We'll talk to you then.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Sixers bounced back with a win last night. I'm Sean Rodman. After their blowout loss the other night, the depleted Sixers beat the Utah Jazz. Maxey led the way with 25, and Jabari Walker off the bench with 22. The Sixers were without Embiid, Oubre, and Edgecombe last night. They're back in action Saturday night in Atlanta. Yesterday, it was reported that the Eagles are asking for a first-round pick and more for A.J. Brown. Bleacher Report's James Palmer joined Middays with Marks yesterday on what he believes teams are willing to send the Eagles in a trade.
I think those teams are all trying not to give up a first-round pick for A.J. I mean, you could look at a comp of when Stephon Diggs went to Houston, in all honesty. I think that was like a second. And there were some other things that were exchanged.
Johan Duran made his spring debut yesterday for the Phillies against Team Canada in an exhibition match. He pitched a scoreless inning with 1 strikeout. Flyers are back in action tonight at home against the Utah Mammoth. You can listen to the game right here on The Fanatic. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:30. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and The Fanatic app.